Hey everybody, welcome back. Thank you for being here. This is going to be big. We're welcoming home the astronauts. Artemis 2, amazing, absolutely amazing. The amount of footage, the amount of photos, the amount of stuff that we've received back is just crazy, absolutely crazy. And as you can see down below me, they're waiting. Are they excited or are they nervous? That's a good question, right? I don't know. I would be kind of nervous. I don't know. I mean, listen, they've went to the moon and back, which is like 250,000 miles. So how nervous can you be at this point, right? They're going to be coming in. I wrote this down because I thought this was really amazing. They're going to be coming in at 24,661,000 miles per hour. 24,661,000 miles per hour. So that's Mach 33. It's pretty fast. So it's definitely cool. They started their broadcast, so I'm going to switch over to them so that we can listen to see like what they're talking about. But we're about an hour and a half, I guess, away from the actual landing. So let me just say hello to folks real quick, and then we'll switch over to them. Right now, they just have kind of like a generic screen like they normally do of the spacecraft and the Earth in the distance. So we'll let that run for a minute. So let me say hello. Who do we have here? We have Michael. We have, let me see, Elabelle. How are you doing? Thank you for being here. We have, who else do we got? Fragile is in the house. Thank you, Fragile, for being here. Phil's Camping and Reviews. Thank you for being here. Let me see. Vine Street Images is here. If you guys have a question, just put at JCristina. At JCristina. It'll pop up, and like right now, there's only a few of us sitting here, but as time goes on, there'll be like 100, and then 200, and then 300, and then all of a sudden it's really hard to be able to see. So definitely put that little, at JCristina if you want to address me. I don't have my beautiful wife with me, so you're just left with this mug today. But so she can't monitor the chat, so I'm going to have to do the monitoring of the chat at the same time as talking to you. So anyways, which is not a big deal, but it is just another thing that we need to do. So anyways, like I said, at JCristina, it makes everything just super, super simple, or at least semi-simple. Easier. Let's just put it that way. Easier. Let's go ahead and see what they're talking about real quick, and then I'll get back to saying hello to everybody.
That will be the point of entry interface where the crew will reach the first traces of Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet. The crew moved into its entry checklist just after 4 p.m. Central Time, suited up in those launch and entry suits, conducted leak checks, and now are in the final stages of their entry checklist.
Instruction 115 of entry checklist. SM separation ATP is go.
Houston copies.
The next major milestone on the route home.
Fully zipped, and they're working on EBS and then seating up.
Let me know, guys, how the audio is. If there's any issues, just let me know.
Thanks for the status.
Jackie Mahaffey talking to Reed Wiseman aboard Integrity. The spacecraft now about 12,000 nautical miles from the Earth's surface. The next major milestone on tap for the crew will be the handover of communications from the Deep Space Network to the Tracking and Data Relay Satellite System. The Deep Space Network came into play after the translunar injection burn back on April 2nd that propelled Integrity toward its lunar flyby. We'll be back on the TDRS network here in about 41 minutes. Following that, the next activity will be the pyrotechnic separation of the crew module from the European service module. That is scheduled at 6:33 p.m. Central Time, followed 4 minutes later by one final critical maneuver. That will be a 19-second burn of Integrity's thrusters in what is called the crew module raise burn. Now, what that does is it basically acts If you were sitting in a reclining chair, you'd basically tilt yourself back. It raises the aft end of Integrity ever so slightly, and that is the final opportunity for us to fine-tune the angle of attack of Integrity through the area of peak heating at entry interface that will come a bit later on, about an hour and 18 minutes from now. So after the raise burn, we will be in the final orientation that will minimize any peak heating on the heat shield of Integrity, and prior to the time the crew enters the Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet. Entry interface. This is the critical time where the crew will reach the first traces of Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet, traveling 34,882 feet per second. Just 24 seconds after entering the Earth's atmosphere, we will experience a communications blackout expected to last 6 minutes in duration. This is planned, and it is caused by the interaction of the velocity of Integrity with the friction of Earth's atmosphere. There will be a buildup of plasma around the vehicle, and that ionization will prevent any communications with the crew and any receipt of data by flight controllers here in Mission Control. That blackout is scheduled to begin at 6:53 and 54 seconds p.m. Central Time. Again, a 6-minute blackout that will end, if all goes as planned, at 6:59 and 55 seconds p.m. Central Time. At that point, we expect to regain communications with the crew and a reacquisition of data through the Tracking and Data Relay satellite system. We will have a series of roll maneuvers. These are computer commanded that will roll the vehicle slightly to the left, then back to the right. That will bleed off excess energy as we begin our peak period of velocity. We expect to reach a maximum velocity of 24,661.21 miles per hour, equivalent to about Mach 33 times the speed of sound, shortly after we enter that blackout period. Once we exit the blackout period, of course, we're in the denser regions of the Earth's atmosphere, and then we get set up for the parachute deployment sequence. First, the deployment of 3 forward bay cover chutes that will pull essentially the top forward bay cover off the very top of the Integrity vehicle. That will be followed by the deployment of drogue chutes, and then the final deployment of a series of 3 main parachutes at 7:04 and 44 seconds p.m. Central Time. From that point on, it is about 3 minutes or so until splashdown. Splashdown scheduled at 7:07 and 8 seconds p.m. Central Time at a gentle speed of 19 miles an hour. So just to give you some perspective, at the time that we enter the Earth's atmosphere, we're traveling somewhere around Mach 32. We will splash down at a speed of about 19 miles an hour. The G-forces that will build on the crew members inside Integrity will build to about 3.9 Gs. That is what is expected and what they have trained for and what the spacecraft is designed to support.
Sweet. So we have a little bit of time. I'm glad they gave us a recap of how this is all going to go down. It's amazing how they're going to go from...
The latest weather forecast out in the recovery zone
Everything's perfect with
off
weather.
The coast of San Diego is a go forecast from our meteorologists here at the Spaceflight Meteorology Group at the Johnson Space Center. And standing by on the deck of the USS John Murtha is my colleague from the Kennedy Space Center, Megan Cruz. Megan?
Hey there, Rob. Yeah, welcome to the bow of the USS John Murtha. This is where we will report out live updates from the ship as NASA and the U.S. military work to recover our Artemis 2 astronauts in just about an hour and a half. How exciting. Now, right now, as you can see, we are out in the Pacific Ocean. We are just west of San Diego. We're actually staged about 6.5 miles away from where we expect Orion to splash down. And then we will incrementally move closer. So at the time of splashdown, we'll be about 5 miles away, and then we will will move to 3.2 miles away. At that point, we'll pause, make sure that all the debris that might be coming down with Orion, because basically some parts of like the parachute system, they're jettisoned off Orion during descent. So we'll just want to make sure that those all land in the water and that we are safe to move even closer. So we will make sure that we can move a little closer, and at that point we will move to a mile away from Orion. And at that point the ship will circle the capsule while NASA and Navy recovery forces work to get our astronauts out, and we should have great views of the bow from here. But also we have a ton of cameras all around the ship. For example, we actually have some cameras right to the left of me here on the bow. These are very strong, stabilized cameras. We can really get up close to make sure that we are sharing all the images we have available to you. We also will have some views from above. We actually have 5 planes providing live views of Splashdown today. In fact, some of those aerial assets just took off from San Diego minutes ago. And then actually here on the flight deck, you see 4 helicopters, the 2 in the back. Those will take off in about 30 minutes from now, also with live cameras. So again, lots and lots of imagery that we hope to share with you today. And then those 2 helos in the front, those 2 will pluck the crew out of the water and fly them back to our ship. Now, the combined team here on the ship, more than 550 people, left San Diego 4 days ago, and since then I've watched different teams train every day, rehearse, final preps to make sure that they're ready for today. So to give us more of an update about how recovery is going on right now, why don't we turn over to Paul here, Paul Serpinski. He is the Assistant Artemis Recovery Director. Great to have you here, Paul.
Great to be here, thanks.
Absolutely. So you just left the landing forces operations center here on the ship. How are we looking for recovery?
Right now, it's looking great. When I left, they were just about to get into weather briefing with Mission Control Center in Houston, but listening to the loops this morning and everything that's been going on, the reentry trajectory correction burn, the return trajectory correction burn went great. They were right down the money, right on the money, right down the middle, where they should be coming back. Our forces here are teams out in the water. All our boats are launched or will be imminently. So yeah, it's just coming along great.
Yeah. It's really nice to see. We did see some of those boats float behind us. We were hoping to give you a live view, but of course they floated right out of the camera shot as you came to us. But so basically the team right now here on the ship, basically like monitoring mode, but really things will pick up about 15 minutes after splashdown.
Yeah, so a couple minutes before splashdown, things start happening really, really fast. Mm-hmm. Some events during the reentry, they're maybe a second or 2 apart, and so it just takes a whole lot of effort and a lot of updates back and forth between us and Houston to try to keep track of everything that's happening, all in real time. And then after splashdown, that's when the recovery team really kicks into high gear. We have our boat teams, our boat crews going out, our divers doing hazardous assessments as they get progressively closer to the capsule, making sure it's safe for all of our people to go in, and it's also safe for the astronauts to come out, because really at the end of the day, that's what we're here for, is we're to make sure that the astronauts get home safe after their tremendous journey to the moon and back. But then also we have, like you mentioned on a minute ago, all of our imagery helicopters are taking imagery, camera shots of it as it's coming in all the way through splashdown. I mean, they'll see it as soon as it crosses the horizon, all the way to the ocean here.
And then afterwards, we have to recover actually Orion to bring it into the well deck of the ship.
Absolutely, yeah. And so once the astronauts are safe on board, then those same dive teams are going to transition into securing the capsule. They'll position some equipment around it to kind of facilitate that. The ship will move into position. We'll attach a really big winch line to it, and then a bunch of tending lines. We'll pull the capsule around behind the ship and then start to slowly bring it in. And then, Orion comes in, goes hard down, and everyone cheers. Great day. Great day,
exactly. Lots to coordinate, a lot to manage. Basically planning for this recovery, Artemis 2 recovery, started a month after Artemis 1 launched. That was the uncrewed test flight of the Space Launch System rocket, as well as the Orion spacecraft. That was November 2022, a month later, all the planning for this. How does it feel to be so close to welcoming our friends, our astronauts, home?
I mean, for the whole team, I walked around the ship this morning just kind of visiting with a lot of people, a lot of groups, and just kind of get the feel of them. And everyone has that same kind of mentality. Everyone's excited, everyone's thrilled to see all that work that we've been doing, like you said, for the last 3 years, since right after the last one came back till now, and some people even further back. Some of them go back a decade or more. So everyone is just excited, and they're ready. They're really ready for this, and just to be able to see our crew come back, that's going to be a thrill for everyone.
How are you feeling? Are you ready? Is this something you ever thought you'd be doing?
I'm ready. I'm excited. This has been the pinnacle of my career so far. It really has. I've seen a lot of firsts, a lot of lasts, but I can't think of ever topping seeing the first crew to go to the moon and back in 50 years, and to be here and be a part of that. And it's just a tremendous privilege. And on behalf of the whole team, I'm thrilled, and so are all of us. We're ready.
Yeah, I definitely think that those words really embody how everybody on the ship is feeling. So thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate you being here. And so, Rob, we'll toss it back to you again. We will continue to join you with live updates from the ship as much as possible.
Sweet.
Thank you, Megan. Back here at the Johnson Space Center, the entry team of flight controllers looking over the shoulders of Reed Wiseman and Victor Glover there on the flight deck of Integrity, and again, just below their feet in the mid-deck area, if you will, Christina Cook and Jeremy Hansen of the Canadian Space Agency. They're in the final review of their entry procedures and all of the activities that will follow here very shortly in trip hammer fashion. We should note that after splashdown occurs, the flight control team here in Houston will be monitoring the orientation of the Integrity spacecraft. We are expecting it to splash down upright in what is called the Stable 1 configuration, with the top of the spacecraft pointed upward. Stable 2 would indicate that it is upside down in the water. Regardless of the orientation, there will be 5 inflatable airbags called the CMOOS system. That's the acronym for Crew Module Uprighting System.
We are suit on complete.
Suits are all on.
Houston copies.
They already did pressure tests.
Reed
Everything's
Wiseman
good
acknowledging that the
too.
final steps in suit donning are now complete for the crew. Leak checks have been completed earlier. The CMOOS system, those 5 inflatable airbags, will be inflated with helium. Those airbags will ensure that the vehicle remains upright. While that activity is going on, the flight control team here will be checking the systems on Integrity, also making sure that there's no leakage of toxic gas from the spacecraft. It should take about 15 minutes from splashdown to the power down of all of the systems on Integrity. And at that point, assuming everything is in a nominal fashion, then the green light will be given for the Navy recovery teams to begin to make their way closer to Integrity to begin the erection of a large inflatable life raft called a front porch that will be buttressed up alongside the hatchway to the spacecraft. That life raft will be used to bring the crew members out of this vehicle once the hatch is open, one by one. They'll get their land legs back after 9 days of weightlessness before they're put in harnesses to be hoisted one by one in sequential fashion, in an alternating fashion, to the 2 hovering Navy helicopters overhead.
Houston Integrity for status.
Go ahead.
Seats 3 and 4 are connecting umbilicals. We're going to be stepping into leak check soon. 1 and 2 will be seated. 3 and 4 will be free float, and we'll configure EPROC accordingly.
Houston copies all.
Reed Wiseman talking about the current procedures with the suiting of the crew members and subsequent leak checks, a final leak check for all 4 crew members. Everything is actually running a few minutes ahead of schedule. So once the life raft is inflated next to the Integrity spacecraft and the recovery teams have arrived alongside of the vehicle, the hatch will be open and the crew members will be brought outside into that front porch, as it is called, one by one. They then will be hoisted into the hovering helos overhead, And those helos then will turn around once the 4 crew members are on board, 2 for each helicopter, and will head back to the ship. That should be about a 10 to 15-minute transit. Once the helicopters land on the deck of the USS John Murtha, the crew members will be exiting those helicopters and brought into medical bay on the deck on the ship itself for comprehensive medical exams. They will spend a period of time yet to be determined on board the USS John Murtha before they are flown by helicopter to the shore in San Diego, to the San Diego Naval Air Station, and ultimately will board a NASA jet for the flight back to the Johnson Space Center here in Houston. Just to recap some of the key times that are coming up, we are expecting the separation of the crew module from the service module just 43 minutes from now. That is expected to occur at 6:33 p.m. Central Time, 7:33 p.m. Eastern Time. That will be followed just 4 minutes later by the crew module raise burn, the use of Integrity's thrusters one final time in a 19-second burn to slightly tilt the vehicle up into the correct orientation or angle of attack to ensure that it enters the Earth's atmosphere at the right angle, if you will. That will help deflect the buildup of heat against Integrity's heat shield. This was a deliberate move, a change in the procedures from the Artemis 1 mission that resulted in unexpected char loss on the Avcode heat shield that had not been intended based on the entry trajectory for the Artemis 1 mission. What we're doing is we deliberately changed the trajectory of the entry from a skip entry that was about a 3,000-mile transit across the Pacific Ocean. We are expecting now from entry interface to the point of splashdown to have a range of just 1,701 nautical miles, and that in of itself will reduce the exposure time of heating on the heat shield of the spacecraft. Once the raise burn is complete, then the stage is set for entry interface at 6:53 and 31 seconds p.m. Central Time. That means that Integrity will be entering the Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet, traveling at about 34,882 feet per second, heading for its splashdown site off the coast of San Diego, as you just heard from Megan Cruz on the deck of the USS John Murtha. Splashdown once again under those 3 main parachutes is expected at 7:07 and 8 seconds p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time, 2.5 hours before sunset. The actual total distance traveled for Integrity from launch to splashdown is estimated at 694,481 statute miles. Now that includes the first high elliptical Earth orbit following launch that enabled Integrity to move to 43,000 miles above the Earth at its apogee, and enabling a 24-hour period of systems checkouts before the flight control team here and the mission management team gave approval for Integrity to conduct its translunar injection that propelled it on its way to the moon and its historic lunar flyby. So the total distance we expect this vehicle to have traveled at splashdown, 694,481 statute miles.
Bunch of miles, guys. 250,000 miles to the moon. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. And they're back. Well, we got T-minus an hour left. So if you have any questions, at JCristina. Makes it easy for me to see.
On time, aboard
Thank you, Miles, for letting me know I was
vehicle
blocking the
system is in
countdown.
excellent shape as the Earth grows larger in the field of view. Let's go back to the USS John Murtha and Megan Cruz, who is standing by.
Hey, yeah, Rob, welcome back. Again, we are out in the Pacific Ocean, staged just about 6.5 miles from where we expect Orion to splash down now in just over an hour. How exciting. And the weather awesome conditions here. I know you see some wind blowing around my hair, but really nothing to speak of when it comes to having to recover our astronauts, as well as no waves here, really. So yeah, we're expecting a really great day. Also, hopefully, some really great views. You can see behind me that some of the clouds are starting to break up, so that's really exciting. And now, of course, this ship has a lot of people ready and excited to welcome our crew back home, including Dr. Rick Schuring here. He is a NASA flight surgeon. Great to have you here, Rick.
You too, Megan. It is a blessing to be out here this day with our teams. We've trained 3 years for this nonstop with the U.S. Navy and along with EGS, and we've so looked forward to this day. And you know, just by God's grace, everything's parting, the skies and everything. The crew's doing great. Looking forward to coming back, and our teams are ready. So this is one of those days you've dreamt about, and now it's finally here, and we're ready, and just thankful to be a part of it.
Yeah, and you play a really integral role. When was the last time you spoke to the crew, and how are they feeling in this last hour before splashdown?
Sure. Yeah, so the crew woke up, when they splashed down, they were woken up about 8.5 hours ago. Me and my fellow crew surgeons, Doctors Chris Haas and Rafi Kumjian from the Canadian Space Agency, spoke with them about 6.5 hours ago, just to double check on how they were doing, if there's any medical issues, you know, how they slept, and then kind of go over their landing day protocol for their medications, for what we call a fluid load, to try to replace some of the fluid and electrolytes that they've lost with just a normal space adaptation. Once they got to space, they kind of have to replace some of that fluid to help them with the whole landing kind of readaptation to 1G, which they haven't done for the last 10 days. And then just kind of let them know how things are going to play out, you know, out with the open water teams all the way until we finally get to the med deck. So they were very pumped up, very hurried though. They had a lot of cabin configuration, a lot of things to get ready. So they're excited, but also very focused on the job that they had to do. So like again, we've trained a long time for this, and we're ready.
And you said some medications. I mean, those are kind of just to mitigate the effects of, obviously, their more than 695,000 mile journey back to Earth. It's just like anti-nausea medication, right?
Yeah, exactly, Megan. The you know, astronauts are very healthy, fortunately, and even when they come back in reentry, you know, the human system is very kind of dynamic. It has to readapt very quickly, and one of the most common responses they get is just some stomach awareness, to some nausea, even to some vomiting. And you know, with our crews that land out in Karagana, the Soyuz crews or our SpaceX crews, you know, they all kind of experience the same thing. This will be the first time we're landing in water since December 1972, and I worked with all the Apollo astronauts years ago, and they all told me that, you know, landing in the water, especially in the Pacific, can be very provocative. So we take steps to give them medicines to really mitigate some of that nausea, vomiting, help them feel a little bit better, and also sometimes just use a little anti-inflammatory medicine just to help with coming back to 1 Earth, or 1G. The effects of microgravity, especially as you age and you have a little arthritis, you feel great in microgravity, and everyone kind of curses coming back to the ground like, oh dang, 1G, but so that helps a little bit. But for the most part, the main thing is just replacing that fluid and then trying to help them with that transition back to 1G, and then we're ready to go.
Yeah, and their health is assessed almost immediately after they splash down.
Yeah, so we have Dr. Jesse Wang, and we have our independent duty corpsmen, who are the Navy version of paramedics, extremely highly trained, highly experienced Navy medics and divers, who will go out there, open the capsule about 28 minutes after splashdown, and do the first initial assessment. So Jesse and his team will go out there and look at each crew, kind of do their assessments, get vital signs, report back to Drs. Haas and Kumji and I back in the med bay, let them know how they're doing, and then you know, if they've got the normal kind of space adaptation kind of things, we expect that they're good to go on that. If anything, you know, didn't go the way we want, they're all prepared for that as well. And Jesse and his team, I mean, you know, this is their full-time job, taking care of, you know, sailors and folks who might be injured. We don't expect any injuries, but coming back, you know, going 25,000 miles an hour down to, you know, 20, you know, miles an hour is still a dynamic process. I've heard it described as, you know, kind of like a car crash. And then the crew will be ready to go, and Jesse and his team will make that transition to get them out to the front porch, do assessments on them again, call it to our med bay, and then once we have that and they're all good to go and the crew's feeling okay, we'll hoist them up in the helos, It's about a 3-minute flight back to the flight deck, and that's where me and the astronaut chief, Scott Tingle, will actually meet them. I'll get eyes on them, make sure they're all good, just take very slow transitions, and then one by one we'll either get them out with the SMTs, the SAR med techs, under each arm, just kind of just walk them very slowly to med bay, which actually helps them acclimate back to 1G. Or if they really don't have their sea legs back yet, then we might put them in what we call a stair chair, which will be right behind them, and then just very slowly kind of get them back into med bay to start our full assessments for the team.
Yeah, so a really great team here to support them as soon as they get back, and also all throughout the mission, of course. You talked a little bit about this, but obviously, we have seen astronauts return from the International Space Station for over 25 years, so we kind of know that journey, how it affects the body. But yes, we're talking about humans returning from the moon for the first time since 1972. How is this different from your perspective?
So it's different in one very significant respect. On Apollo, for exercise, they had something called the Apollo Exergenia, which was basically just a little canister with some ropes, and they would have some resistance and kind of do that. And the Apollo astronauts really liked that. They liked the ability to exercise, because you decondition from a musculoskeletal standpoint, you lose your strength and your stamina very quickly. We had something called the Orion flywheel, which was able to impart much greater loads in terms of resistance, so they're able to do squats, deadlifts, different things, not dissimilar to what the ISS astronauts do, but with a lot less room to do it. And they also did rowing activities for cardiovascular health, and the crews loved it. But for the lunar crews, the future lunar crews, maintaining that physical conditioning, which our astronaut strength conditioning rehabilitation specialists, affectionately known as the ACERs, back in Houston, really work hard to get them in the best shape they're going to, have to be in to get to the moon. That device hopefully will maintain that. And Apollo only had about a 4.3-day journey to the moon. Our astronauts are going to have about a 10 to 14-day journey. Right. So maintaining that physical fitness, that strength and stamina is going to be crucial for the success of being able to do those very physically demanding lunar EVAs. Right. So we're very excited about what the astronauts have said about the device and what they have to say about the role exercise plays, going to the moon. And also the mental benefit.
Sure.
They just really like sweating, breaking the sweat, and actually just feeling like they're just getting a workout.
Right.
So
thank you so much, Rick. I really appreciate it. I know they're going to be in good hands, so we'll let you get back to it. Thank you so much.
Megan, thanks for the time.
Back to you, Rob.
Okay, Megan, back here in Mission Control in Houston. Everything is moving along in order. This view of Reed Wiseman on the left, Victor Glover on the right. We have good suit leak checks. Everything aboard integrity is in excellent shape. The vehicle, with the Earth growing larger and larger in the field of view, we're now just about 8,200 nautical miles away from Earth and closing in for a splashdown just 1 hour and 5 minutes from now.
Integrity, just under a minute till your GPS maneuver initiates, and both GPS units look eager to acquire.
Outstanding. Seats 3 and 4 are working on seat strap in now.
Houston copies.
It's crazy how those seats are literally taken apart and they're gone during the mission itself. And then I was watching them about 2 or 3 hours ago, reassembling the seats from scratch. So now all of a sudden there's no more room, obviously, in the spacecraft, which is pretty cool how they do that. They just disassemble everything. They make it into this vacant hole so they have room.
Separation schedule just 31 minutes from now. The key point of interest, of course, will be the performance of Integrity's heat shield during its high-speed entry back into Earth and the peak heating that is expected around the spacecraft of some 4,000 to 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. On Artemis 1, as I think most folks know by now, we flew a trajectory known as a skip entry, in which we performed an initial dip into the atmosphere to bleed off some energy. Then we skipped out of the atmosphere and dipped back into the atmosphere before splashing down in the Pacific. But after the mission was over with, we noticed unexpected liberation of some of the charring effects on the heat shield known as AVCOAT. Before the flight, we had an opportunity to sit down and talk with Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling to get a perspective on what this all means and how the mission was redesigned to try to protect Integrity's heat shield to a higher extent. Let's take a look at that interview.
Returning from the moon is a lot different than deorbiting from low Earth orbit. When we return from the moon, we expect to achieve velocities upwards of 36,000 feet per second. And in order to slow down to a nice, graceful splashdown in the Pacific Ocean, the flight crew is going to experience between 3 and 4 times the force of Earth's gravity. On Artemis 1, pressure buildup inside the char layer of the heat shield resulted in the char losses we saw. NASA established a Tiger team whose job was to investigate the cause of the problem and then make recommendations on how to fly the Artemis 2 mission safely and successfully. And so for Artemis 2, we are going to fly a profile that ensures the spacecraft will not see that same type of pressure profile. And so the char losses seen on Artemis 2 will not be like the ones that we saw on Artemis 1.
Rick Henfling indicated that the orientation of the spacecraft and the shortening of the distance of transit to the splashdown zone from the point of entry interface when we reach the top of the Earth's atmosphere, which will be coming up at 6:53 and 30 seconds p.m. Central Time, should do the trick in minimizing the deleterious forces against that heat shield that were noticed on the Artemis 1 mission.
We think we see a beautiful sunrise over the west coast of Australia.
We copy.
Commander Reed Wiseman reveling in his final hour in space on this mission as Integrity is passing over the southwest coast of Australia now at an altitude of some 7,600 nautical miles. That will begin the southwest and northeasterly transit across the Pacific Ocean. Let's talk a little bit more about some of the highlights and some of the numbers associated with the points of interest here. We are 27 and a half minutes away from crew module, service module separation. That will be followed about 3.5 minutes later by the raise burn that we've discussed, a 19-second burn of Integrity's thrusters to fine-tune its angle of attack as it enters the Earth's atmosphere. Entry interface is scheduled 47 and a half minutes from now. That's the point at which we will reach the top of the Earth's atmosphere, traveling about 34,882 feet per second at an altitude of 400,000 feet. Just 24 seconds after entry interface, we will begin a blackout period of 6 minutes in duration at 6:53 and 54 seconds p.m. Central Time. Now, about 10 seconds after the blackout period begins, we are expected to reach peak speed, which would be 24,661 miles an hour. That'll be about 103 miles an hour short of the velocity record set by the Apollo 10 astronauts, Tom Stafford, Gene Cernan, and John Young, when they returned from the moon on the Apollo 10 mission in 1969. That blackout period is expected to last 6 minutes in duration. At 6:54 and 52 seconds p.m. Central Time, we'll reach our peak heating period of about 4,000 to 5,000 degrees while we're in a communications blackout from Integrity and its astronauts.
4,000 to 5,000.
That blackout should end at 6:59 and 55 seconds p.m. Central Time, at which point we expect to regain communications with the crew. Capcom Jackie Mahaffey here in the flight control room will be talking to the crew, calling them, and we'll await a response from the crew as they come out of that blackout period. And at that point, their altitude will be just 157,000 feet above the Earth, traveling at 13,000 feet per second with a range to splashdown of just 147 nautical miles. From that point on, the next key series of events will be the deployment of a series of parachutes that we discussed before. First, the forward bay cover chute deploy that will pull the forward bay cover away from the top of Integrity, followed by drogue chute deploy, and then the main chute deploy that's expected at 7:04 and 44 seconds p.m. Central Time. That will begin the gentle descent of Integrity towards its splashdown at just a velocity of just 19 13 miles an hour, and that will begin the recovery operations that you just heard Megan Cruz discuss with her folks on the USS John Murtha. All of Integrity's systems in great shape. The crew is suited up. Leak checks complete as we stand by for the next major milestone, which will be the crew module service module separation just 24.5 minutes from now.
You have to think about this, guys. $24 billion for this, right? $24 billion, whereas what Elon Musk is doing, I know someone said, like, what do you think Elon Musk is thinking about all this? He's probably jealous that this thing got off the ground, went around the moon, and is coming back. But bear in mind that what Elon Musk is doing is he's making something that is reusable. So it comes back and then relaunches, comes back and relaunches. This is 24 billion that ends up in the ocean. So keep that in mind. It's completely like apples to oranges.
The flight surgeon alluded to in his interview with Megan Cruz, all of this happens to decelerate the vehicle from traveling around Mach 33 to just 19 miles an hour at splashdown. All of that happening in just 13.5 minutes. But the vehicle and the parachutes are all designed to support all of that, so we'll be standing by to report all that to you in sequential fashion as these milestones are ticked off and as we hear from the crew during its entry back into the Earth's atmosphere and ultimately when they emerge from the blackout period, and at that point we'll be just minutes away from splashdown.
Amazing, guys. Absolutely amazing. We are there.
So with all of those preparations we can return here briefly for another report from the USS John P. Murtha and Megan Cruz. Megan? And we'll regain that communication with the USS John P. Murtha just momentarily. In the meantime, everything is on track aboard Integrity, the flight control team here in Houston, led by Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling. The voice you will hear talking to the crew is that of Jackie Mahaffey. She will be reporting everything to the crew and receiving their reports as they enter the Earth's atmosphere for their 13.5-minute plunge back into the atmosphere for splashdown off the coast of San Diego. Now we have the ship back with us and Megan Cruz aboard the USS John P. Murtha. Megan?
11 balloon, right? Hey, Rob, yeah, the excitement is really building here on the ship. I'm watching right now one of the weather balloons being lofted up from the ship. Again, weather balloons, very important for us to make sure that we are tracking the right kind of weather and also the data that's needed for what's called our Sasquatch team. Again, it's a team out of NASA that basically makes sure that the debris that comes off of Orion, again, some of those pieces of the parachute system, make sure that they don't fall on us here in the sea, and also our aerial assets, our folks in helicopters. So watching that float away right now. But with me right now is Captain Eric Kenny. He's the commanding officer of the John P. Murtha naval ship. Thank you so much for being here. There are so many moving parts that you have to keep an eye on.
That's absolutely right, yeah. But first of all, on behalf of the crew of USS John P. Murtha, Megan, thanks for having me on today. Happy to tell you what we're doing and excited to get the interview started.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't we actually take a look at the flight deck here? We'll start there. Basically, we also, while watching this weather balloon float away, we noticed all 4 helicopters leave the flight deck. We now have an empty flight deck. We had 2 imagery helos as well as the 2 crew helicopters that will go recover the crew. This is just one of the many things that, again, our ship of 550 people, it's something that you oversee as commanding officer.
Yeah, absolutely. Every commanding officer, I would say really every naval service member, our priority is always safety. And as the commanding officer, I take that as one of my primary roles here on board. Mission accomplishment is important, safety always. So my day really has, I would say my message to the crew has sort of changed over the past 24 hours. As we're leading up to today, we've been building up the excitement and motivating the team for the training that we've executed. But really over the past 24 hours, now I'm trying to get us to slow down a little bit. Trust our training, right? Don't believe all the hype. Don't believe everything that's going on. Just let's trust what we've done to get to this point, and if we do that, we'll be successful today.
And also part of the big success is obviously the coordination between NASA and the U.S. military. How does it feel being able to support the human space program we have?
Yeah, I mean, since 1959 with Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, the history between NASA and the Navy has been in lockstep. But like any other skill, if you don't practice it regularly, that skill atrophies. So we've had a few decades off from that. But, over the past 4 or 5 years, really with this ship over the past year, we've constantly trained and working for this moment right here. Building up the hype, but to get to this point today, to be able to trust all the training we've done. We've worked with, working with NASA, the Air Force, the medical team, dive team. You want to talk about high-performance organizations coming together, working in unison? We are seeing that here on board the USS John P. Murtha, and I can't be more proud of all the work everyone's doing.
Yeah, you had some great words this morning saying just that, again, that it's really nice to see everybody working together and so excited. I mean, you just became the commanding officer of this ship back in February. How does it personally feel for you to be a part of this historic moment today?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I'd say any opportunity to command any warship in the United States Navy is a tremendous honor. It is a pinnacle of any naval officer's career. That being said, as my change of command was approaching, and I realized that Artemis was going to be in the window here, to say that I'm humbled and honored to be here is an understatement. What really just excites me is the opportunity to see this crew, who has been training so hard over the past year plus, come together. It is what inspires me. Listening to NASA and the ownership and pride they take. They make my crew better. I think we're making NASA better together. That synergy is something that I'm happy to see and hopefully take forward with me in my career.
Yeah, it's all about partnerships. We couldn't do it without you, and we couldn't have gotten to the moon without our international partners as well. So thank you so much, Captain. It was really great to have you here today.
Thanks, Megan.
Awesome. All right, Rob, back to you.
Thank you, Megan. Back here in Mission Control in Houston. We just had a quick view of the crew. We'll get that view back, and there they are again. Here in Mission Control, the entry team of flight controllers led by Rick Henfling and Jackie Mahaffey serving as the spacecraft communicator. We have just handed over communications links from the Deep Space Network that we communicated with the crew through from the time of the translunar injection burn back on April 2nd. We've just handed back to the Tracking and Data Relay satellite system as we prepare for the crew module service module separation that will take place just 17 minutes from now. With the Earth looming in front of Integrity as it barrels back for a splashdown of the Pacific just 50 minutes from now, we're just 5,700 nautical miles from splashdown. Just one other quick note about the comparison from the Artemis 1 entry profile to the Artemis 2 entry profile and how that is serving as an extra layer of protection for Integrity's heat shield. The Artemis 1 entry had an entry range of some 3,178 nautical miles, a very long down track and a very longer period of exposure to heat loads than we're experiencing tonight. It also had that skip entry profile that we discussed earlier, dipping into the Earth's atmosphere, then back out, then back in. It was about 20 minutes of exposure.
Integrity, Houston, comm check on TDRS.
Jackie, we have it loud and clear on TDRS.
We have you the same.
Let me just say thank you so much to Shannon for the super chats and the free gifted memberships. If you got a free gifted membership from Shannon, please say thank you. All right. He put about 40 of them out there so far. So if you're one of the lucky people out there, definitely say thank you. I also had a question that came through that was asking about communications, and people don't understand this, and they asked that, is SpaceX Starlink involved with this? Do they have communications through SpaceX Starlink? And the answer is no. They use their own system. It's called an O2O system, and that system is run on lasers in comparison to, in the past, radio waves. So what ends up happening is you end up with a little bit more bandwidth. So instead of having, you know, the standard bandwidth that you get with your radio waves, you end up with like 260 megabits, which means that they can broadcast HD, and that's what they were kind of doing. The only thing that people have things like kind of twisted is they think that the radio waves are actually slower than using lasers. And the bottom line is they both travel at the speed of light, which is 299,000 miles or kilometers per second. All right, so it's the same. Radio waves and lasers. Doesn't make a difference. The difference is the amount of bandwidth that you have that's involved in it. So anyways, there's your answer. No Starlink on the Artemis mission, but they use their own system, which is called the O2O. Anyways, back to them.
Shield from excessive heat loads. So that is the difference between Artemis 1 and Artemis 2, all designed into this mission to gather data, to protect the heat shield, since the Artemis 3 mission and beyond will have a different designed heat shield that will allow that skip entry type of profile to be resumed for all of the future missions coming back from the south pole of the moon when we initiate lunar landings. So we've handed over to the tracking and data relay satellite system. That's where we'll have communications for the rest of the flight. Just to give you some time hacks here, we're 13.5 minutes away from crew module, service module separation, and just 17 minutes away from the raise burn, that 19-second firing of the thrusters that will basically be the final fine-tuning of the angle of attack for integrity as it enters the Earth's atmosphere.
Yes, the difference between 1969 through 72 in the Apollo missions, the amount of bandwidth that they had was right around 50 kilobits. 50 kilobits per second, not 260 megabits per second, what they have today. That's why we're getting better pictures, faster pictures, 4K video, and all the rest of it. Very cool stuff.
The assets that are involved in recovery operations today. The
integrity, cabin configured, all crew suited and seated.
There you go. They're ready. They're ready to come in.
Houston copies.
That confirmation from Reed Wiseman aboard Integrity, as you see the assets being deployed to the splashdown zone. At the time of splashdown, we expect the John P. Murtha to be about 5 miles away from Integrity, keeping a safe distance until we are sure that the vehicle is in the water and upright, and that it is in a good configuration system-wide for the recovery teams to begin to approach the vehicle to erect that inflatable raft.
2 minutes to CM RCS warm-up hot fire.
We're ready.
That call from spacecraft communicator Jackie Mahaffey indicating that we're 2 minutes away from a quick burst of the reaction control system. Thrusters, that will be a hot fire test prior to the separation of the crew module from the service module. The European service module has performed flawlessly throughout this flight. Everything, all the burns that had been prescribed for that service module have been executed on time and without a problem. There is the European flight control room that has overseen the manufacturing, the design of the European service module. They deserve quite a bit of credit on this mission for not only propelling the Integrity and its astronauts toward the moon, but also conducting the fine-tuning of its trajectory to bring it to this point where we are dead spot on down the middle of the corridor trajectory-wise to bring Integrity down for its splashdown in the Pacific just 44 minutes from now.
Sweet. Did you guys see the Nutella fly by the camera accidentally? It looked like a Nutella commercial, and now Nutella is taking the footage and they're using it. That was kind of interesting. How many conspiracy theories have you guys seen on TikTok, on X, on Instagram, on everything? How many conspiracy theories? A ton. That this isn't really happening. You know, satellites aren't real. The Earth is square. We're not going to the moon. The guys, you know, the astronauts ejected from the vehicle before it launched, and all the rest of the stuff. What I'm going to do on Monday, guys, on Monday, I'm going to debunk all of these conspiracy theories. I'm going to go through each and every one of them because it's just like a hell of nonsense. I have a hard time just dealing with it. So I'm going to, on Monday, that's going to be Monday's video. All right. So look out for that. I get into some serious stuff. And as a professional photographer for 15 years, I'm going to get into some of the metadata into these files. And I'm going to give you a real decent look at how they're created and how I know what's real and what's not. So anyways, watch for that on Monday.
We're just 9.5 minutes away from the crew module service module separation.
9.5 minutes. Nice. Wow. 16,000 miles per hour. 5,000 miles from Earth.
We are confirming.
Integrity, we are assessing details, but so far looks like a good hot fire.
Looks good on board, Jackie. Thank you.
And Jackie Mahaffey took the words out of my mouth. I was just about to say that we had a good hot fire test of the thrusters in advance of the crew module service module separation that's coming up just 8.5 minutes from now. This will begin the period in which we will have rapid fire succession of critical activities on board that will lead to entry interface just 28 minutes from now, where the vehicle will enter the Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet. The time of entry interface, 6:53 and 30 seconds p.m. Central Time.
Someone asked, do you think the astronauts are feeling it like in slow motion, like it's taking forever, or do they feel like it's going really fast? And the bottom line here is it's going really fast for them because their checklist that they have to go through is literally second by second by second. It's unbelievable. If you guys have been watching for the last like 6 hours or so, like me, I mean, there is just checklists that just go on and on and on and on. So they're moving at this extremely fast pace. There's a ton of stuff to do. They're not just sitting there, right? So I think this is going by very quickly.
To begin their entry preparations. And propulsion officer now reports a good hot fire test in preparation for the crew module service module separation.
Yeah, the flat earthers are definitely hating it. I don't know.
We're now inside 41 minutes until splashdown.
Integrity Houston, we have confirmed a good CMRCS hot fire. And although we are not seeing GPS acquired yet, you can skip the troubleshooting steps in 157 for now.
Checklist on number 157. Just leave that one out. We're good. You see what I mean? It's like, it's a lot. It is a lot.
That GPS discussion indicating that we will be acquiring navigational data for Integrity through the Global Positioning System equipment on board. We just don't have it yet, but we will. All of Integrity's systems are in great shape to support its high-speed entry into the Earth's atmosphere. It, once again, will reach a peak speed of 24,661.21 miles an hour.
Your call, GPS. We at least have GPS 1 looking good on board.
We are confirming.
The Guidance, Navigation, and Control Officer here in Mission Control confirming that we have good lock on GPS data. We are on a communications link now through the Tracking and Data Relay satellite system. Now, following splashdown, we're going to lose that link and go to what's called a VLDR, a very low data rate communications link, so that we can talk to the crew inside Integrity as they are on the water.
Integrity, confirm we do see good GPS.
We do too, especially GPS 1 is accepting in nav channels 1 and 3.
That GPS data is basically telling Integrity's onboard computers its position relative to the Earth, but its trajectory and its orientation according to flight dynamics and the guidance, navigation, and control officer is spot on. We have now armed the pyros for the crew module service module separation coming up less than 5 minutes from now. Once again, just 10 seconds after entry interface, we will see Integrity reaching its peak speed of 24,661.21 miles per hour. That will be just seconds before we begin a 6-minute blackout period.
Integrity, Houston. Your vehicle is in a good config for CM-SM SEP and go for CM raise.
Houston, we see the same on board and copy go for CM raise.
That CM raise referred to as the slight firing of 19 seconds by Integrity's thrusters with a change in velocity of 9.9 feet per second, a slight nudge of the aft end of the vehicle so that it's tilted a bit upward, providing the final angle of attack as the vehicle enters the Earth's atmosphere.
This is what it looked like. This is what it looks like, guys.
Factor that will reduce heat loads on the heat shield as we reach a point downrange from the start of entry interface, some 1,701 nautical miles to the splashdown site.
5,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
Integrity systems in excellent shape. We are currently 3,300 nautical miles left in this mission. Splashdown scheduled 36 minutes, 39 seconds from now.
Integrity, Houston. For the 2 enabled prop cautions, what happened is while the thrusters were firing, multiple pressure sensors on each of the strings diverged a bit from each other. Those limits look to be set pretty tight. We think it could happen again when the thrusters fire in the future, so we are going to suppress those messages.
We concur with suppress, not inhibit. Thank you.
We'll just put black tape.
That exchange between Jackie Mahaffey, our Capcom for tonight, and Reed Wiseman aboard Integrity, indicating basically to ignore sensor data. All of Integrity's systems are in good shape. Now, coming up on about 90 seconds till the crew module, service module separation.
You should know that handoff of the GPS is really, really important. It doesn't just happen. They don't go from right to GPS. They kind of slowly work into GPS, picking it up until it gets to about 22,000 miles in space, where we actually have the GPS satellite. So they work into it slowly. Seeing that GPS 1 is already like snapped in already. That's all.
Coming up on 1 minute. Mark, 1 minute till crew module, service module separation.
There we go. Once again, this is a spacecraft will fully be tossed. $24 billion into the ocean. Once again, unlike Elon Musk's Starship, which would be fully reusable. So it's a big difference between what NASA's done here with the SLS and what Elon is working on. So it's fun to see the disparity between government and private, in my personal opinion. It's enjoyable. If you guys have any questions, put at JCristina in the comment area, at JCristina.
And we
with
have
your question.
confirmation of crew
There we
module,
go.
service module separation.
Look at that. I love that. See
And
that?
a great view, albeit momentarily.
And now gone.
Houston, good step on board.
Sweet. Well, we still got to
Houston
see it.
copies and concurs.
The European service module now separated from Integrity, a job well done.
Integrity,
Wow.
no action for the 4 CDH cautions. Those are SM related, not applicable.
Integrity.
Now that's all that's left. Little pod at the top. That's
so
it.
with Integrity
Just
now
Orion, that's
flying
it.
free
Nothing
on
left.
its own for
That's
the
it.
remaining
Integrity's
32
done.
minutes
It's-
of this mission. Next up, the raise burn, a
They're gonna
19-second firing of Integrity's thrusters.
Kind of take it from like this position, move it into kind of a ass forward position, because that's all where those heat
Integrity
tiles
copies.
are, right
GPS
on the
2.
bottom. So it's kind of just flips it just a little bit.
Coming
right?
up on the 2-minute mark until the raise burn. Again, this is the final tweaking of the orientation of Integrity to put it in the right angle, if you will, the angle
I
of
brought up
attack
this slide so
that
you guys can
it,
see
will
it.
fly in
But you
during
can
its
see how it
entrance
goes
into the
from
Earth's
one
atmosphere.
position and it just flips
Entry
back
interface now
around.
just 18 minutes, 25 seconds away. This is a visualization, but driven by real-time telemetry. This is the maneuvering of Integrity to the raise burn orientation. Just 2,800 miles from Earth.
Houston, we got a great view of the European service module out the window with the sun hitting the side and the solar rays and the NASA worm right there. It's a beautiful looking machine.
Roger.
And we have completed the maneuver to the raise burn orientation, 1 minute away from the raise burn.
If they didn't do that burn, the capsule would burn up because all of your heat tiles are on the bottom. So they have to do the burn no matter what. And once again, I'll go ahead and put this up for you guys so you can see it, because here it's very apparent how they actually come in at one attitude and they basically flip so that the bottom end is coming in hot. That's when we're going to see that heating up to 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, which will cause plasma to start pouring off the craft. When that plasma starts pouring off, what will end up happening is we'll lose comms. There will be no more communications because there is nothing that can leave. It basically encapsulates the whole capsule with that plasma, and no radio frequency, no RF can come or go from it.
Thrusters. And we have a completion of the burn.
There you go. 19 seconds. So as of right now, they are now at this new position. Once again, that flipped
Integrity,
position.
good. CM raise burn. Your flight path angle is within limits.
There you go. Perfect.
Integrity copies. Looks good on board, Jackie.
So the final maneuver is now complete. Our trajectory for a splashdown in the Pacific 29 minutes from now is set and will not be amended any further. And we have the right angle of attack to mitigate any excessive heat loads on the vehicle during entry interface.
Integrity Houston, a heads up about comm coverage. When you perform the 180 roll, for the first minute or so in that attitude, we expect about a minute LOS.
We copy.
That's once again that heating.
So for those who are watching the series of events coming up, we will enter the first traces of Earth's atmosphere 14 minutes, 45 seconds from now. 6:53 and 30 seconds is what is pegged for entry interface at an altitude of 400,000 feet, traveling at approximately 34,800 feet per second, range to touchdown or splashdown 1,701 nautical miles. 24 seconds after entry interface, we will enter a 6-minute blackout period in which we will lose communications with the crew. This is expected due to the buildup of plasma around the vehicle. That's an ionization effect due to the collision, if you will, of the velocity of the spacecraft with the friction of the Earth's atmosphere. That 6-minute blackout is expected to begin at 6:53 and 54 seconds p.m. Central Time. During that period of time, we will reach our peak speed of 24,661 miles per hour. That comes just short, based on unofficial data from the flight dynamics officer right now, will come just short of the velocity record set by Apollo 10 of 24,791 miles per hour in 1969. We expect peak heating on the vehicle at 6:54 and 52 seconds p.m. Central Time, a minute and 22 seconds into entry interface. At that point, we will be just 204,000 feet above the Earth, traveling at 33,000 feet per second.
Amazing,
The
right?
blackout period is expected to last 6 minutes. We expect that blackout period to end at 6:59 and 55 seconds p.m. Central Time. From the end of the blackout period until splashdown, it is just 7 minutes, at which point we'll start deploying the series of parachutes to slow integrity down to an ultimate splashdown velocity of just 19 miles an hour.
We see the same, waiting for the 180 rolls.
The parachute deployment sequence, once again, will come in several segments, but in rapid fire succession.
And we have a great view of the moon out window 2. Looks a little smaller than yesterday.
Just a little.
Guess we'll have to go back.
Reed Wiseman and Jackie Mahaffey exchanging discussion on a view of the moon that Integrity's astronauts are seeing in the final minutes of this mission that will be completed with splashdown just 25 minutes from now. 3 forward bay cover parachutes will be used to pull the forward bay cover off the top of the vehicle. Then 2 drogue parachutes will be deployed to slow and stabilize the crew module during its descent, followed by 3 pilot parachutes that will lift and deploy the main parachutes from the forward bay. The final sequence will have 3 main parachutes deployed. These will be 116 feet in diameter, each main parachute approximately 265 feet long when reefed. The parachutes will ultimately slow Integrity down from its peak speed of almost 33 times the speed of sound to a gentle 19 miles an hour at splashdown. The vehicle is now currently in a roll to the proper attitude for entry interface Our trajectory is right on according to flight dynamics. Integrity is on a trajectory from southwest and northeast across the Pacific Ocean, descending at a rate of 15,000 feet per second. Range to touchdown 4,300 nautical miles, all the systems in excellent shape.
Well, look at that view.
Integrity, Orion in the EI roll 180 attitude.
Looks good on board, Jackie.
This view out of one of Integrity's windows. We had a call for 3 good barrows. Those are barometric pressure sensors that feed altitude and rate of descent information to Integrity's computers that will trigger the parachute deployment sequence. We are less than 9 minutes away from entry interface, 22 minutes from splashdown.
Yeah, so for Elon Musk's Starship, the IFT-12, that was pushed back. We were going to see it sometime this month, but it's been pushed back to, I think it's May, like the middle of May, possibly slightly earlier, but it's okay. I understand that that's going to be the case. As remember, IFT-12 is a next innovation, not an iteration. This is a Block 3, so it's going to be the inaugural flight of a Block 3. They don't want to see it rud and have to go pick up parts, out of the ocean. So I see if they need to take a little extra time, go ahead. It's all right. We've been waiting this long at least, right? We'll wait a few more weeks. It's okay. Let's get it right. Yeah, Shannon, there's a lot of bugs in space.
Integrity back in EI attitude.
Yeah, those panels are just unbelievable.
We see the same on board, Jackie.
The windows are like so thick, and there's so many different panes in them for pressurization, and also for micro meteorites
Houston,
too.
complete. Crew and vehicle are configured for entry.
Ready to go.
Houston copies.
Sweet. What are we, under 20 minutes
And
from
we're
touchdown?
in step 37, transferring nav state to BFS.
Yeah, the SpaceX IPO should hit June, beginning of June, first week, second week of June. That's what it's slated for, at least. So yeah, they should launch IFT-12 before the IPO, which is nice. So get it right, don't blow it up before the IPO. We want you to get it right. So.
Now 6 minutes away from entry interface. We will hit the first traces of Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet, traveling about 34,882 feet per second. Range to splashdown at that point will be 1,701 nautical miles.
Let's see.
And once again, just a reminder, some 24 seconds after entry interface, we do expect to lose communications with the vehicle and the crew during a 6-minute blackout period when a plasma shield will build up around the spacecraft due to the ionization, due to heating effects. And Flight Dynamics has just confirmed we will have a blackout period of exactly 6 minutes in duration.
Wow.
And once again, that's due to the fact that a plasma buildup around the vehicle will prevent communications and data, so we will not be able to talk to the crew members at that time, nor will we receive data here in the flight control room.
Houston, everything's looking good on board. Just confirm no pre-EI downloads.
Houston concurs.
That blackout period to begin at 6:53 and 54 seconds p.m. Central Time, and again will last about 6 minutes in duration.
Just think about the entire capsule being just engulfed in plasma, 5,000 plus degrees Fahrenheit. It doesn't allow any RF to go in or out, so no radio frequency, and that's why there's that blackout for 6 minutes. As far as the IPO, that will be going off in June. I just verified it. So June is the time for the IPO. And the IPO has gone from now a valuation of 1.25 trillion, 1.5 trillion, 1.75 trillion. And now I'm seeing word that it's going to be $2 trillion valuation for the SpaceX IPO. And bear in mind, this is not just SpaceX that you're buying. You're buying a launch company, but you're also purchasing X, which is former Twitter. You're purchasing XAI. You're purchasing Starlink. It's all one big just mega company. So that's why we're seeing that evaluation. I think the valuation is going to go higher. I said that it's going to be about 2 to 2.5. People thought that was crazy. So
the Pacific Ocean, 3 minutes from entry interface. "16.5 minutes till splashdown." The USS John P. Murtha and the recovery team is on station and in position, as are the airborne imagery assets that we hope to receive imagery from as Artemis enters the Earth's atmosphere and through parachute deployment. All of Integrity's systems are in great shape. The crew is ready to complete its mission just 15.5 minutes from now. All of the activities today have gone off in perfect fashion. No issues with the vehicle, no issues with the crew. And the weather at the splashdown site is go.
weather is perfect. Can't beat that. So we should have some pretty good imagery. But you can tell the difference between the images that are coming from this mission in comparison to when we see Starship, for example, or even the Falcon 9's launch. So they just have a little bit better equipment on them. It's a little bit more like prime time in comparison to what NASA does. But I have to say, they've done a really exceptional job with coverage of this Artemis mission, because if you watch like Blue Origin or ULA or anyone else launch, it's as deadpan as you're going to get. It's horrific. Like, you can't even watch it. It's that bad.
Mark,
this has been
1
amazing.
minute until
Ton of
entry
great
interface.
coverage.
1 minute, 20 seconds until the expected start of our 6-minute blackout.
Integrity, 1 minute to a 6-minute blackout.
1 minute, then we won't hear anything for 6 minutes.
Integrity.
Do you see how the Earth is bending there through the window? I'm going to be talking about that on Monday with this whole conspiracy theory nonsense. I'm going to debunk probably about 5, maybe 8 conspiracy theories I've been working on that the last couple of days because this stuff just annoys the hell out of me. So I just wanted to go through it, give you the science side of it, mathematical side, physics, you know, and tell you exactly what's up with a lot of these things.
10 seconds till entry interface.
And also some of these images I'm going to give you information on based on being a photographer, a professional photographer for 15 to 20 years, looking at metadata. I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on in some of these images that people are saying, oh, they're fake or this or that. So wait for Monday's video.
We're at 400,000 feet, traveling 34,800
Look at that
feet
roll.
per second. Time to splash down 13 minutes, 10 seconds.
Wow. 13 minutes, 10 seconds, guys.
And as predicted, we've entered our
There you
communications
go.
blackout.
They just went blue screened.
This will be
Yeah.
a 6-minute blackout period. No voice, no data from the crew.
And that's because the crew that's in California
We're
on
30
the
seconds away
set
from the
stopped
anticipated
filming.
point of peak heating on the vehicle, where temperatures will rise to about 4,000 to 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the true test of our trajectory.
Well,
And from the G5 aircraft,
look at
in
that.
the vicinity of the splashdown zone, this view of integrity.
The dot moving in the middle of the screen.
So that pinpoint of light shows the vehicle as it enters the period of peak heating in the Earth's atmosphere, the first tug of gravity being felt by Integrity's astronauts since their launch back on April 1st.
Its tracking unit just lost it. It couldn't handle it anymore. And there you go. Couldn't track it anymore.
4.5 minutes until the end of the blackout period.
Oh yeah, they know, Shannon, exactly where it is,
Time
literally
to
to the
splash down,
meter.
11 minutes, 33 seconds.
Probably have about, what, 4 minutes left? 3.5 minutes of blackout. What I'm going to do is when they're done and they land, and I'm going to stay with you guys because I want to see them get out. I want to see them go onto the porch, get hoisted off, and all the rest of it because it's just as big. This is historic, right? The last time we went to the moon was like, what, 72 or something. We started in 69 when I was born. So it's just great to be able to see now that, you know, I am much older, decades later, and we finally made it around the moon again. So very, very cool.
Visualization of
They do a lot of these visualizations.
The spacecraft and the repelling of that heat on Integrity's heat shield.
Back in studio, Mark. We are back.
Flight Dynamics reports that airborne assets in the vicinity of the splashdown zone do have a visual on Integrity. Still 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in our blackout period. Time to splashdown, 9 minutes, 35 seconds.
Yeah, Mick, they have everything synchronized exact. That's why I say they know exactly where it
Multiple
is, even
airborne
during
assets,
blackout
as
to
part
the
of
meter.
recovery
They know
team
exactly
all have
where it is.
visuals on Integrity.
Math is math, right? It doesn't lie.
And the WB-57 flying in the splashdown zone also has a visual. And the Navy helos also have visuals.
Just so you guys know, in comparison to Starship, these tiles are actually made to burn off, right? So in comparison to like the Starship where they're made to stay fast because obviously it's reusable, these heat tiles are made to burn off. So that's what they're doing. They slowly burn off, and it slowly it kind of, let's say, dissipates the heat a lot easier. But you know, they made it this way in comparison to Starship because they know this thing ends up in the drink, and that's kind of it. Nothing of this gets reused. Zero.
The crew, we should be out of the blackout period less than a minute from now.
Less than a minute. Nice. We'll have this rendering for right now. So yeah, the heat shields are actually designed to melt off, to burn off, however you want to see it. And there's layers of them.
We are now processing data from Integrity.
Thanks, Phil. Yeah, I stuck myself in there.
Landing
I should
and
throw
support
myself
officer
into
reports
one
the
of the
small
monitors.
boats are en
That'd be
route to
funny.
the splashdown target zone.
Yep, look at that. Nice. What did they use to capture that? Telescope? Possibly. The ride of a lifetime. Radioactive Texan, absolutely. This is the ride of the lifetime. Think about going from 25,000 miles per hour down to 19 miles per hour.
Our trajectory is perfect. We're getting intermittent views
3.5 Gs.
of Integrity. Still waiting to establish voice communication.
Well. Yep.
Integrity, Houston, comm check, post-blackout.
Houston, Integrity, we have you loud and clear.
Your trajectory is nominal, and your recovery teams have visual.
Wow. There you go.
Guidance looks good.
No action for the enabled internal camera controller fail.
Big cheers from the viewing room here in Mission Control as voice communication reestablished with Commander Reed Wiseman. For America and a waiting world, Integrity is 5.5 minutes away from coming home.
Thanks, Mark, for that. Yeah, that was a lot of fun dealing with the whole Grok AI
Passing
thing and the water
100,000 feet
issue.
now. Range to splashdown 19 nautical miles.
Jack, they didn't land on the moon because they're basically doing the same thing that they did in the 60s, 60 through 72. Baby steps instead of just straight there and hope for the best and just wing it. So that's why they didn't land on the moon. We'll land on the moon in 2028.
Integrity, impact to the camera controller fail is no cab 1 views of the chutes.
So we lost the camera.
Integrity.
We're processing good data through the GPS system. A good view of Integrity. Time to splashdown 4.5 minutes.
4.5 minutes, guys. Remember, we actually, landed on the moon. What was it? Apollo 11, Apollo 12, Apollo 14, 15, 16, Apollo 17, through 1969 all the way to 72. So we do it again in 2028. was it? The only one that didn't make it was 13, right? Apollo 13.
The pyros are armed for forward bay cover jettison.
Look at that. That's just amazing. Just think about that tracking too on that scope that they have just to be able to track this thing. That is crazy.
And there goes
Oh,
the first
there
series
goes
of
the drone.
parachutes. And we're on drogues.
There we go.
And Houston, we're visual 2 drogues out the window.
Perfect. Sweet.
2 good drogue shoots.
That's going to slow
Next
it
up-
down a little
We
bit
copy,
before they
we see
pop
'em.
the mains.
Next up, the deployment of pilot parachutes that will pull the main chutes out. Time to
There we
splash
go.
down 3 minutes and 10 seconds.
Look at that thing just bobbing, right? It's just bobbing back and forth. Unbelievable. It's crazy.
Perfect descent rate according to flight
Integrity,
dynamics.
Good rates on 2 drogues.
We see the same on board.
Should see the 2 to pop out that will pull the mains out momentarily.
Passing through 10,000 feet. Still on drogues.
It's just burning off a lot of that energy, slowing it down. Imagine being inside there right now and just rocking back and forth. Oh, there they go. There they go.
Main chute deploy.
Sweet. We got 3. Come on.
We're at 5,000 feet.
Okay. Come on. What's with that one
Search
shoot?
and recovery
Here
beacon
we
has been
go.
activated on integrity.
There it is.
And we have 3 good main
Out
chutes.
the window.
Sweet.
Good 3 main chutes, good reefing,
Houston
good descent
confirms
rate.
Good rates, and we see 3 good-looking parachutes.
Man. You know, that's just like a breath right there. Just take a big, deep breath. You see 3 open chutes. Amazing.
Integrity. Cabin pressure indicates no need for hydrazine checks.
Integrity copies.
This is a perfect descent for integrity. Its crew sounding hale and hearty on board. Time to splash down 1 minute, 15 seconds.
Remember, they came from 25,000 miles per hour down to 19 miles per hour when they actually hit the water. Amazing.
Integrity about to complete a journey spanning 694,481 miles from its launch from the Kennedy Space Center back on April 1st, and a trip around the moon.
Crazy. There'll still be some of the folks out there that will say that this isn't real and this is all green screen and all those boats and ships that are out there are not real, and the people that were sitting at the Kennedy Space Center when it launched didn't feel the rumble in their chest and the ground vibrating. Up, here we go, here we go.
Passing through 1,000 feet.
Dialing it in.
Houston Integrity, Splashdown, sending post-landing command now.
Splashdown
There it is.
confirmed.
Copy splashdown. Waiting on VLDR.
Splashdown confirmed at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time.
Man,
From
picture
the
perfect.
pages of Jules Verne to a modern-day mission to the moon, a new chapter of the exploration of our celestial neighbor is complete.
Yeah.
Integrity's astronauts back on Earth.
Perfect landing too. It's upright. It's not upside down.
And the landing and support officer reports the vehicle is stable 1. We still will be deploying the crew module uprighting system to maintain that orientation. A perfect bullseye splashdown for Integrity and its 4 astronauts.
Stable 2. This is perfect. What an amazing shot. I can't believe it. It's just, it's incredible. 50 years and we're back. We're back from the moon. Went around the moon, came back, took some really great pictures. They took a Nikon, or Nikon, I guess depends on where you live, D5, which is a fantastic camera, full frame
The unofficial splashdown time, 7:07 and 47 seconds p.m. Central Time. We'll get that refined for you. That would put the end of the mission at a mission elapsed time of 9 days, 1 hour, 31 minutes, 35 seconds.
You think they're exact? But yeah, so they had a Nikon D5.
And we're configuring for very low data rate.
And that's why we're getting so many really
Once again,
good pictures
splashdown occurring
back
in the Pacific, southwest of San Diego, at 7:07 and 47 seconds p.m.
Integrity Houston, comm check on VLDR.
Now they have to wait for all the junk, the debris,
Houston, we have you loud and clear on VLDR. How us?
to touch down.
We have you the same.
so
We'll
they
meet
can
you
go
over
and
in
get 'em.
post-landing.
You want like a chunk to land on
Perfect
your head.
communications established.
A journey. We are stable 1, 4 green crew members.
Wow.
Houston copies all.
Reed Wiseman reporting 4 green crew members. That is not their complexion. That is the fact that they're in great condition. That's what that means. So stable 1, upright. The crew module uprighting system is being deployed. The 5 airbags being inflated through helium to maintain the upright configuration for the vehicle. This was a textbook entry and a textbook touchdown for Integrity. Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen back on Earth after a journey around the moon.
Yep, they're going to be popping out on the porch. that blow up area around them. It'll probably take a good 15 minutes, 20 minutes or so. But look, almost 700,000 miles, I guess. You know, that's just absolutely crazy. I mean, 250,000 miles just to get there. It's just, it's amazing to me what we can do. I just find it sad that we haven't done it for so long that, you know, finally we're kind of getting our mind back into things. And it's not really about, in my personal opinion, getting to the moon. It's just about coming together as a country, coming together as a world, especially when you start seeing Canada's on board, Americans on board. We're working together. I think it's really important.
Helicopters hovering overhead. Reed Wiseman reporting 4 green crew members, meaning they're all in excellent shape.
Helicopter needs a new camera. If you guys have any questions or anything, put them in there. I'm going to stay because this is the JC Live show.
Integrity
So
Houston for SAR beacon and radio.
it just happened to be that we're returned from the moon
Our
on
beacon
the Friday.
is in 406, and we're powering the radio now. Go ahead.
We see the beacon on. However, the recovery team is not seeing the signal. Your SAR radio uses the same antenna, so you may run into trouble with the radio.
Interesting.
Okay, copy. We are also powering up the sat phone now.
Did he say he's powering up the sat phone?
So Integrity is in great shape. And as the crew continues its post-splashdown timelined activities on board, Reed Wiseman once again reporting that all 4 crew members are in excellent shape. And we have 5 inflated airbags to maintain an upright configuration so that the recovery team can now begin a slow approach to the vehicle. Meanwhile, here in the flight control room, Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling is polling his team of flight controllers for the start of powering down the vehicle after a thorough systems check. We have no toxic gases to be concerned about, so the recovery personnel can approach the vehicle, but not until we have powered down the spacecraft. That's expected to take a few more minutes.
Nice cameras there, Mark. Mick, talking about the sadness on how some of the news stations are saying that we never went to the moon. And yeah, that's that conspiracy theory stuff. On Monday, I'm going to go through a lot of it. I'm going to put a video out there and dispel a lot of the bullshit that I just can't stand. It just bothers the hell out of me. It's like the flat earthers. Like, you know, if you don't know that the Earth is round, just by looking at the moon, that the Earth is blocking the sun, and seeing
back on Earth,
a crescent,
following its
seeing the shape
flyby
of the Earth on the moon as a shadow, and you don't realize that we are round. Well, you have more difficult you have more problems than we can deal with.
We copy.
Reed Wiseman indicating some trouble with the SARSAT phone on board, but that's not an issue. What is more important is that the vehicle is solid. No issues as we begin the power down of the vehicle to begin.
Hey guys, why are they using a sat phone, right? Doesn't Elon have DTC where they could just pull out their cell phone and just use DTC, direct to cell, instead of a sat phone? Obviously not inside the capsule, but yeah, I think it's funny that they're using a sat phone like something that they would use 20, 30 years ago, right? It's kind of interesting. Instead of a low Earth orbit satellite, they're using a sat phone sitting in geo somewhere at 36,000 kilometers compared to 500 kilometers. It's kind of crazy. But yeah.
The propulsion officer here in Mission Control reports that we have safed the prop system on integrity.
Can you say again? That was very weak and broken.
Integrity, Houston did not call.
They weren't really using thrusters to slow it down. It's more like to keep everything situated nice and straight. Radio, but no, there's no quote-unquote thrusters that actually slow the vehicle. It's just the first you have the drogue parachutes, then you have the first parachutes that pop out and rip out the main 3 parachutes,
in perfect
and that's
fashion.
it. That's what's doing the slowdown.
Integrity entering the Earth's atmosphere right on time.
Don't they have T-Mobile or Starlink on board?
Shortly after the blackout period began, we emerged from the blackout period, but the recovery imagery airborne assets were able to pick up Integrity's descent almost immediately through entry interface, tracking the vehicle all the way down. And finally, you saw the sequence of chute deployments. First, the forward bay cover being pulled off the top of the vehicle by a series of 3 parachutes. Then the drogue chutes were deployed, followed by the 3 main chutes that slowed the splashdown velocity of Integrity to just 19 miles an hour.
That's crazy. Yeah, Michael, the cats would have definitely pushed everything off the Earth by now. Certainly, absolutely, not even a question. Elabel, absolutely great splashdown. I concur. DTC costs $10 a month. Yes, it does. Maybe NASA doesn't want to pay it. They only paid $24 billion on this craft. $24 billion, all lost in the sea or orbiting the Earth as junk.
Integrity, Houston, with no joy on SAR and SAT phone, we'd like you to command an additional 15 minutes for a total of 30-minute power down delay.
Wow. That's a bunch. That's a lot. All right. So just hang tight. It's going to be a
All
little
right,
bit.
Jackie, we have selected T/D+30. No joy on SAR radio or sat phone. And stand by, we have the master diver on SAR radio. Please hold comms.
Hey, Lily. Excuse me. Hey, Jackie, we just got the master diver on SAR.
A good view of one of the fast boats.
Integrity Houston, if you are happy with your comm with Master Diver, you can go back to the 15-minute power down.
Okay, stand by. Yeah, we'll confirm here in a second.
Yeah,
The
they're
crew on
around
board
that.
Integrity coordinating with the flight control team in Houston here in Mission Control on the timing of the power down of the vehicle, which will be the precursor to the recovery teams approaching the spacecraft. There are
That
no
thing's
issues
bobbing around
with
a bunch.
Integrity. We've had a bit of broken capability in establishing a SARSAT or satellite phone communications capability between the crew on board Integrity and the recovery team. That will get sorted out here shortly. There's plenty of cooling on board Integrity, so there's no rush to begin the power down.
I'm trying to call you on the sat phone and not getting an answer there either.
Concur, we haven't had anything come through.
And Houston, if you could relay to recovery that we hear them, but it does not appear as though they are hearing us.
Houston copies, and Reed, just to confirm, you are pushing the PTT on the radio.
Did she just
So
ask
as we
me,
continue
is
to
he
sort
pushing
out
the
the
button?
communications between Integrity and the recovery teams, we are standing by for the initiation of the power down procedures that, as you see, the recovery teams are moving towards the side of the capsule. The next major event will be the erection of that large inflatable raft called the front porch. That will be the port of call for the crew as they're being extracted one by one from the vehicle.
That star comms that they're talking about is just like standard, like S-band type of communication.
Integrity Houston, for sat phone, we are going to attempt to call you.
Good idea, standing by.
And Jackie, yes, we are pushing the push to talk, the two buttons on the left side of the radio below the up-down arrows. We are utilizing them. I'm rebooting the radio to see if we get good comms.
Okay, we copy all, and just to confirm, you are seeing that you are touchdown plus 3030 for power, correct?
That's affirmative.
They added 15 minutes because they have that comm problem going on. If you guys have any questions, put at JCristina in the question, or if you just want to make a comment that I see, just throw it in there. Also, if you have not subscribed, consider doing so.
Backdoor approach to have mission control here call the crew on their satellite phone. This is all part of the coordination for the power down of the vehicle that will
I agree, Mark.
initiate the actual recovery operation. The first boats with the Navy divers on board are standing by, waiting to close in on Integrity to begin the process of erecting the large inflatable raft that's called the front porch that will be where the astronauts are extracted from, so that they can have a few minutes to get their land legs back before they're hoisted aboard the Navy helicopters for the flight back to the deck of the USS John P. Murtha.
Do not reply.
There's a lot of people waiting on standby.
And Houston, please don't reply. NRD, very weak, but readable. Master diver, we can hear, but they cannot hear us. And Houston on OE1, is there any chance to tie us into NRD?
It's kind of interesting, considering they had no problems at all. Now they're having communication problems when they're back on Earth. Yeah, they're bobbing around pretty good. The waves are coming in at every, I think it's 16 or 18 seconds, so it's a continuous bobbing, and it's light, maybe about 3-4 feet.
Control,
but
Houston, while we stand by for the
a pretty big
establishment
bobber
of communications between Integrity and the recovery team that is basically standing by very close to the spacecraft, we're going to go to the deck of the USS John P. Murtha, where Megan Cruz is standing by with Administrator Jared Isaacman.
you're right about the Falcon 9 capsules, the Dragon, the Dragon capsules when they shoot. They just
Hey, Rob, yeah,
they
just
pull
such
those
an
Dragon
honor
capsules
to be
out there
able
in
to
like
be here
no time.
on the ship, to be able to share and experience this moment with everyone together. And of course, as you just said, yes, here with NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman. Administrator, how did you feel getting to witness this and seeing NASA at its best?
Oh, I mean, I'm honestly, I'm still at a loss for words. I mean, like the childhood Jared right now can't believe what I just saw. I mean, almost been waiting my whole lifetime to see this, and then as NASA Administrator, I just couldn't be more proud of the entire workforce, the years, the effort, the late nights, all the hard work from across the country that contributed to this incredible moment right now. And yeah, incredibly grateful too for our teams here on the John P. Murtha right now.
Yeah, look at the behind us here.
Got everybody. Hey, what do you guys think? We just brought some astronauts back from the moon, huh? Unbelievable. Thank you. Yeah, so grateful to the Navy, the sailors that are here, the NASA teams. I mean, this is a joint effort that's on their way right now. These recovery forces are getting out to our Orion spacecraft, to Integrity, to get our astronauts back on the ship safely.
Yeah, and this is not just an accomplishment for NASA. This is an accomplishment for humanity. Again, a historic mission to the moon and back. How does this make you feel, and what do you hope people take away from this?
Well, I'll tell you, I think about the crew members that we've all had an opportunity to observe over the last 10 days, right? I mean, they're absolutely professional astronauts. I mean, wonderful communicators, almost poets. But then I think these were the ambassadors from humanity to the stars that we sent out there right now. And I can't imagine a better crew than the Artemis II crew that just completed a perfect mission right now. So yes, it's a huge moment for everybody, right? I mean, we are back in the business of sending astronauts to the moon, bringing them back safely, and to set up for a series more. I mean, this is not a once in a lifetime, which you hear sometimes around here. It's like, this was a once in a lifetime. No, it's not. This is just the beginning. We are going to get back into doing this with frequency, sending missions to the moon until we land on it in 2028 and start building our base.
Yeah, are we going to build on the momentum for Artemis 3? I mean, it's just around the corner.
Absolutely. So I mean, that's, you know, part of me too. Like, I can't wait to get the crew off of Integrity right now, but also getting Integrity back on this ship so we can start taking a look at it, because all that data is so precious to us right now. I mean, we are going to definitely want to take a good look at the thermal protection system. We're going to want to download all the data they couldn't transmit back to us and use that to inform Artemis 3. But we're already making progress, right? You had SRB segments already showing up at KSC. Core stage for Artemis 3 is rolling out on April 20th. We're getting Mobile Launcher 1 back in vehicle assembly building. So yes, there is a lot to celebrate right now on a mission well accomplished for Artemis 2, and at the same time, we got to start getting ready for 3.
Amazing. And last question, you know, for people who joined us for all 10 days to see what we can accomplish together with our international partners, what do you think about the fact that we're going to keep doing this more and more and more?
It's incredibly exciting. I mean, yes, it's the contributions, like the best and brightest across the NASA workforce from across the country, our industry partners, our international partners. We had a Canadian Space Agency astronaut on board in Jeremy. We had the European Service Module. And you think, in the days leading up to this launch, I mean, 48 hours prior to launching Artemis 2, I was meeting with the Italian Space Agency. We signed a memorandum of understanding to build a habitation module on the moon. I mean, you have countries, all of our allies and partners coming together saying, we are committed to this effort, we are returning to the moon, we're doing it to stay, we are building that enduring presence, we are going to master the skills on the surface of the moon so someday we can undertake missions to Mars. It's just an incredibly exciting time, and we're not going at it alone, we're bringing everybody along with us.
Absolutely. And speaking of everyone, one more time, we're going to ask the crew here, you guys ready to land on the moon?
Thank God for the new administrator here,
okay,
Isaac
well,
Min.
thank you so much, Administrator. Appreciate you being here. We're, of course, going to stay
Night
on
and
to
day
watch the crew get
to the
extracted from
past.
Orion, so stay tuned, and we'll see you back here shortly.
He's actually flown SpaceX missions. He's like a billionaire. This guy doesn't need
Thank you,
for
Megan,
nothing.
and thank you,
and he's
Administrator
really
Isaacman.
good at what he does.
We are in the
Jared
process of
Isaacman,
working
the new,
to
what is he, the
establish that
15th
communications
administrator, I
link
think it is,
and to
something like
establish
that.
the procedures that will lead to the power down of the spacecraft, which is gently bobbing in the Pacific following a bullseye touchdown that occurred at 7:07
Oh, someone asked about
PM
like a safe
Central
zone.
Time, 5:07 PM
The safe
Pacific
zone
time,
is
2.5
right around,
hours
I think it's like 10
before
nautical
sunset
miles, somewhere
in
around
the
there. 10, figure
southwest
about
of
10
San
nautical
Diego.
miles. You're not going in and out of
We
there.
have once again heard from the crew during that interview opportunity with the administrator, and we have 4 healthy crew members on board. We now have confirmation that the vehicle has been powered down as per the procedures. So
That
we have
answer
vehicle
was
powered
for
down,
Whipped Puppy.
and the
We
flight
saw that
control
pop
team
up.
here in Houston, Flight Director Rick Henfling, has handed over mission authority to the Exploration Ground Systems team out in the Pacific. Now, we will physically not get off console with this team until the crew has been extracted into the front porch, that inflatable raft that will be erected along the side hatch of Integrity. So we're standing by for that in the next step in the recovery procedures. But everything is in great shape, and we have 4 healthy crew members on board the vehicle.
Yeah, that is true. There is no low data when you're talking about SpaceX. That's with the Falcon or with Starship or anything. They're all using Starlink, hookups. So they're on fast speed of everything at all times. So yeah, this is definitely not the same, but that's the difference between, once again, the private sector and NASA.
Perfect trajectory for Integrity that was culminated with one final raise burn to improve the angle of attack for the vehicle as it entered the Earth's atmosphere. All of that flight dynamics computation worked like a charm.
Yeah, they had clear video when they were at, quarter of a million miles away, but now they're sitting in the ocean and we can't get a link with them. They're obviously having some type of antenna problem.
So we are standing by for
something's
the
going on
recovery
with the,
team to approach.
Maybe it burnt off. Maybe there's like some type of issue with wiring.
Called the front porch, which will see the crew members be extracted from the hatch of Orion into that inflatable raft before they're hoisted aboard 2 Navy helicopters in the
radios ran off Microsoft 360 software. Yeah.
Each crew member will be hoisted in sequential fashion.
The radios hit a blue screen of death.
2 crew members for each helicopter before they turn around to head
using
back
Windows
to
instead
the
of
John
Linux.
P. Murtha. Once on the deck of the ship, they'll be brought into medical bay for comprehensive medical exams. But Reed Wiseman has reported several times that the crew is in excellent shape.
Yes, the latest phones can connect to Starlink using DTC or direct to cell, but the thing is they won't connect obviously because they're inside that capsule. If they were literally standing outside the capsule, they would be able to just take their cell phone and with DTC make a phone call or even a video call. So yes.
Just to recap, it has been some 26.5 minutes since the splashdown of Integrity in the Pacific. The vehicle is in excellent shape. It performed like a champ all the way down through the Earth's atmosphere. All of the vehicle functions were checked off in excellent trip hammer fashion. The parachutes all deployed as planned. Splashdown occurring at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time. And after a bit of a tussle to try to establish a communications link with the recovery team, we were finally able to run through the procedures for the powering down of the vehicle. We've handed over mission authority to the Exploration Ground Systems folks out in the Pacific, and the recovery team will be approaching the vehicle shortly to erect the inflatable raft called the front porch before opening the hatch to Integrity to bring the crew members onto that raft before they're hoisted onto 2 Navy helicopters, 2 crew members for each helicopter before they're flown back to the deck of the USS John P. Murtha.
Remember, guys, with the Apollo, someone said that, yeah, they watched the Apollo splashdown with Apollo 11 or whatnot. With those old, like even with the Mercury, they used to have like pyrotechnics built into the doors, and they would blast the doors off. Do you remember that? They don't do that blasting of the doors off anymore, because with the Mercury, they ended up having an issue where the pyrotechnics went off when they shouldn't have, and nearly drowned the. It was bad. Water starts rushing in when it doesn't supposed to, so they don't do that anymore. It's all made this way where the door will just open. Period. You don't need to blast it off any longer. So that's kind of cool. We've kind of moved forward a little bit in 50 years. Any other questions? Put at JCristina in the chat, so I see that it pops up and I can read through them. Also, if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. And don't forget the space station. I have a live channel that's on 24 hours a day that gives you updates to launches. I don't care where the launches are. They could be in California, it could be Texas, or here in Florida. All the launches that happen, you're going to be able to see the rockets and exactly when they're going off, including solar weather, solar data, weather at the different launch sites, current news, space news, all kinds of stuff. So check it out. Nice ambient going on in the back end of it too. So if you haven't went there, just go to the youtube.com/JCristina and then go to lives, and you will see the JC Live space station sitting there waiting for you to jump on board and hang out. I use it when I'm coding a lot of times. I like that just ambient, spacey type of music. So check that out if you haven't yet. Also, if you want to contribute to the channel, you want to help out the channel, go to the shop, JCristina.com/shop, JCristina.com/shop. Pick up some merch. Pick up a shirt. I'm really excited for the next Starship launch, which would be IFT-12. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. Once again, they pushed it back from mid-April to probably like mid-May. They had some issues, but I'm okay with that. Probably, someone brought up the IPO. It probably has something to do with the IPO and SpaceX. You don't want to run, your special Starship blowing up on the inaugural flight of the new Block 3 prior to your initial public offering that is currently, I think, up to $2 trillion.
After talking to the flight dynamics folks, we have a bit of a refinement on the splashdown time for you. Their computation shows a splashdown time of 7:07 and 27 seconds p.m. Central Time, 7:07 and 27 seconds p.m. Central Time.
It is bobbing around a lot, but they did take Dramamine. I'm not kidding. So it won't affect them as much.
To a mission elapsed time of 9 days, 1 hour, 32 minutes, and 15 seconds. Once again, from Flight Dynamics, a splashdown time of 7:07 and 27 seconds p.m. Central Time. That would equate to a mission elapsed time of 9 days, 1 hour, 32 minutes, and 15 seconds.
Crazy. Michael said, I don't want an Artemis 3 mission because Elon can do it without tax dollars. And that's true, right? So Elon's doing the Starship basically on his own money. Actually, our money. Starlink is the cash cow for that entire Mars everything. So basically what Elon Musk has changed his mind. He's not going to Mars right away. He wants to first go to the moon and then use the moon as a launching pad for Mars. And it kind of makes sense to me. Baby steps instead of just trying to launch people to Mars. People don't realize the amount of radiation that you get when you're going to Mars, the amount of time getting that full dose of radiation. It's a lot. It's not a little bit. And there's definitely adverse side effects of being in space for 6 to 8 months in traveling and then hoping that you actually hit it dead on and you don't fly by it and now you're lost. So I like that. I like the baby steps. I don't mind the baby steps to the moon first and then going to Mars. So moon 2028, I'm going to say Mars will probably be 2030, 2032 in that area.
Raft, the front porch is erected, the hatch open, and the crew having exited the vehicle. So that's the next step in the recovery process that will lead to the hoisting of the crew members. For 2 crew members for each helicopter, they'll be hoisted to a pair of Navy helicopters that will then fly a short distance back to the USS John P. Murtha.
Jake said, did they move satellites out of the way for the re-entry? And chances are not really. What people understand is the vastness of space. And when you take a look at pictures of satellites on the globe and you see 10,000 satellites that are wrapped around it, if you actually did the mathematics on every one of those pinpoint dots that you see, they would basically be the size of a city. And you know that a satellite's not the size of a city, right? So even though there's 10,000 of just SpaceX Starlink satellites, there's probably about 15,000 satellites in totality. Elon Musk owns about 75 to 80% of all satellites on orbit in LEO and low Earth orbit as of today. So knowing that, yes, they do not really need to move satellites out of the way for this kind of thing. They are spaced out a lot. Space is vast, right? So, and even if they did need to move those satellites, every single one of them have enough propulsion on board to be able to move continuously. And what people don't understand is the majority of those SpaceX Starlink satellites are moving almost daily. They're constantly dancing around, moving out of the way of things. If there is a 1 in 1 millionth chance probability of a satellite getting hit, SpaceX Starlink satellite will move. Okay, that's just how it is. The number is 1 in 1 millionth chance. As soon as they start talking again, I'll put them back up. Currently, they are silent. So that's, something to keep in mind. It's something that a lot of people don't know about, but now you do, right? And that's at like 550 kilometers. As that orbital shell gets further and further away from Earth, you can fit more and more satellites into it. Think about it that way, right? Because once again, that area of vast space becomes larger at the same time. So anyways, still nothing from them. Let's get into any comments. If you have a comment, put at JCristina. We'll get into it. Let's see. Did they move the satellites? We went through that. Wi-Fi, fuel prices. Yeah, fuel prices are a wreck right now. Absolute wreck. I think the capsule will be the first to go to Lockheed Martin, clean, remove excess prep. Lockheed Martin. I haven't heard Lockheed Martin named in a little bit. I did a whole video on that with the whole ULA thing, right? You guys remember that? And how our friend over there, Jeff Bezos, and his Blue Origin hasn't been able to put any satellites on orbit. They are back.
Initiation of the recovery of the Artemis crew aboard Integrity. All of the Navy divers and the fast boats are now approaching the spacecraft after conducting a hazard assessment. The vehicle has been powered down. Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling now waiting for the life raft, the front porch, to be erected along the side of the vehicle so that the hatch can be opened and the crew members extracted from Integrity, soon to be hoisted one by one into a pair of Navy helicopters for a short flight back to the deck of the USS John P. Murtha.
Absolutely. Don had a question about Elon Musk, and he started working on, or did he start working on the filling up or refilling the station? Yes, that's what they're going to be doing this year. Once the Starship, the new version of Starship, is on orbit, they're going to use one Starship to stay there, and it's going to turn into basically like a mobile gas station. They're going to keep on bringing ships up to it, and they're going to refill it until it's full, and then eventually they're going to use that as a means of moving fuel from a launched, let's say, Starship, refill it, and then go off to the moon or go off to Mars or whatever. So yes, they're working on that right now. Also asked about the astronauts exiting the ship and how, for example, like the Dragon does it with the Falcon 9s, right? So when the Crew Dragons come in, they would have taken this pod like literally out of the ocean already, stuck it on the back of a boat, and pulled the crew out. That's just how they do it. This is NASA. They do stuff old school. They're not changing their ways anytime in the near future. So yes, when you look at what SpaceX is doing and what Elon does with his recovery of crew members, let's say from the ISS, it's completely different than this. They will go, they'll grab it, they'll pick the thing up and stick it on the back of the ship. And then at that point, they actually open it. So you don't have all of this type of old school methodology. So yes, they definitely have changed things up for the good, right? But once again, this is NASA compared to SpaceX. You have private compared to government. You have a $24 billion SLS that just went to the moon, and there's nothing reusable at all. So the entire 24 billion is in the drink, or it's floating around in orbit someplace. So just keep that in mind. That's the difference between what Elon's trying to do with the reusability in the Starship, is being able to have something that can be reused over and over, land, launch again, land, launch again, so on and so forth. Some of the Falcon 9 rockets, they've already been reused. Those boosters have been reused over 30 times. Imagine how cheap it is to put SpaceX Starlink satellites on orbit when you can reuse the same rocket 30 times. It's not just landing in the ocean, right? It's being reused over and over and over and over. And they're right now at, I think, 33 times or something. They've gone to a point where they don't even understand how the metals are still holding up. They're in which is amazing. But this is giving them data to know how long these craft can be used and launched and relaunched and launched and relaunched. So it's really quite amazing. Once they start talking again, I'll put them back. But until then, if there's any questions, stick them in there and I'll get to them now. Those two questions was from Don. Let me see. Mark says they will have removed the suits, clean up and the brushes, their hair, and the hair. Yes. SpaceX will haul Dragon in the water. Exactly. That's what they would have had them out already. Coming right
Crew is in
back.
excellent shape. No issues. They're just currently biding their time, waiting for the front porch to be erected. We have no hazardous...
The front porch, guys. The front porch.
We have no hazard gases and no hazardous situation with the vehicle. It performed perfectly all the way down from entry interface to its splashdown in the Pacific at 7:07 and 27 seconds p.m. Central Time. And as you can see, the first phalanx of recovery personnel now pulling up alongside of Integrity.
Thomas. Yes, the Duncan Munchkins.
This includes Navy divers, a Navy flight surgeon, and other recovery personnel who have trained for several years for this recovery process.
Yes, the inflatable porch does come with a dog, and it does come with a light and a swing. I think a swing is definitely a necessity on that inflatable porch. Yeah, I've watched a lot of the space shuttle launches
at this hour,
in my day.
41 minutes following splashdown.
They were amazing.
The vehicle has been powered down. There's no hazardous gas emanating from the vehicle. That's why
you see the guys are like,
the first
guys there?
team of recovery personnel has been able to pull
Open me up.
alongside Integrity. And the reports continue to come in that the 4 astronauts are in excellent shape.
Starting to get seasick. This bobbing. I'm bobbing way too long. Get me out of here. Because remember, when they're in space, everything is just still, right? You don't have any of that. This whole bobbing. And I think they said that the cadence of the water is currently at 16 seconds, I think, the intervals. So every 16 seconds, you're doing this thing. You know, or this way, or something. I don't know. Get them out of there. Yeah, I remember they used to pick them up on the helicopter and stick them on the back of a ship too. It's just crazy how things change over time. Yeah, no nonsense. Bennett says, yeah, they should get a good gimbal, and you know, the photography / the cameras should get better. I agree. I mean, they did take, you know, the Nikon D5 on board, which is kind of cool. You know, with I think they had like a 14 to 20 some 24 millimeter, I don't know, lens, and they had a really good full frame DSLR for taking images out the window. They also, if you guys know it or not, they have like this shroud, which was neat to see that they're not stupid. So just think about a shroud being something like this, and you take your lens, okay, and you stick the lens through the shroud, right? Let's see if we can make this happen with this battery, right? So we're going to take the lens, we stick it through the shroud like this, and then this shroud goes all around the window in the capsule, right against the window.
Integrity's astronauts.
So you can take some really good pictures.
One by one, they'll be brought out of the spacecraft onto a large inflatable raft just a short time from now. In the meantime, we can go back to the USS John P. Murtha, where my colleague Megan Cruz is standing by to provide her situation report. Megan, can you hear us?
You got like the entire Navy sitting around knocking on the door. Let's go.
Hey, Rob. Yes, I can hear you. Thank you. Yeah, we're back here on the bow of the recovery ship where there are still plenty of people.
I do love how they asked the astronaut, did you hit the PTT button? I'm like, oh, shit. Did she just ask him if he hit the push-to-talk button? And he's like, yeah, I hit the push-to-talk button. It just doesn't work. That was good though. But I guess they have to do
As
that.
Rob has been
cover all
saying,
bases.
in those recovery boats, NASA and Navy personnel specifically trained to get the astronauts out of Orion.
They trained for 2 years, but they're still having to sit around.
In some of our wide shots, you can probably see that there are 6
You know what they
boats
should do?
out in
Instead
the
of this
water.
wide shot from this helicopter that looks like crap, they should just throw out a whole bunch of
More
drones,
than 40
right?
people out in the water right now on those
Take the
boats.
video with drones. It would look better. You could literally just pull right up to the thing. Like, grab it. Let's just drag it in. Yeah, still no porch. They're waiting for the porch and the dog.
First order of business is to set up the front porch and the stabilization collar. You might also hear it referred to as a stab collar. Basically just to make sure that Orion stays upright, doesn't sway in the water too much, again, to make it easier for recovery forces to get the astronauts out. Again, we splashed down in the Pacific Ocean just after 5 p.m. Pacific time here. It's a requirement by NASA to be able to get the crew out of Orion within 2 hours of splashdown.
Well, that's good to know.
Doing great on
Within
time
2
so far.
hours, they
Plenty
have
of
to have
time.
them out.
No rush either. I was speaking to NASA flight surgeon Rick Schuring earlier in this broadcast, and he said to me, no rush to get the crew out. Just want to make sure
No rush.
that they're feeling good. And whenever they're ready to take their step out of Orion and onto that large raft, the front porch, folks will be ready.
Just think, guys, they came in at 25,000 miles per hour and then slowed down to 19 miles per hour when they touched down in the ocean. That's just amazing, right? Absolutely amazing. And the good thing, this isn't going to stop. We're going to see this more often.
Mission control in Houston.
Do we see a door
There is
open?
a mission audio loop here on the ship, and it was just reported out that the side hatch is open. Side
There it
hatch of
is.
integrity is open.
They're getting some fresh air, maybe.
You're getting these beautiful shots from our aerial assets. The ship itself, where I'm on, just 3,000 yards away. Again, plenty of people on the boat here, glued to the side closest to where they can see all this action. And again, with just 3,000 yards separating us, great views from the bow here. You can see now that side hatch is open. One of the Navy personnel is about to get inside there. In they go. In total, 4 will go into Orion. So it'll be a little bit of a tight squeeze, but the goal is to have a recovery personnel with each astronaut assessing them.
Yes, astronauts start spoiling after 2 hours. Yeah, they got them now, so they just need to deploy that front porch with the dog and the rocking chair. And we'll see those astronauts get out. Yeah, wouldn't that be great? Drones? Why not? I mean, drones
Boats
are so
getting
small
closer now.
today. I mean, you can throw like 10 drones around that
Again,
thing.
that one that's right up against
like
Orion,
detailed
those are the
4K
divers that will
video.
go in
Wi-Fi
to the
back to the
spacecraft
back
to check
to the
on each
ship
of the
and then
astronauts.
uplink it back. I mean,
These other boats
I
will
don't
begin
know.
doing a number of things.
I just don't know
Putting on that
what's going on with the
stabilization
AV
collar
personnel
onto
these
Orion,
days. I don't know. No one
building that
understands
front
audio
porch.
video anymore. I don't know. The whole I don't know.
Eventually,
Even
they
the- even
will
the-
retrieve the parachutes,
Even the images from some of these cameras,
as
it's
well
like,
as
it could
tow
be so much better.
Orion back to the well deck of the recovery ship here.
Kind of is what it is. Remember, we have $500 hammers that we have to pay for. So.
And so as we wait for the Navy and NASA personnel to get their assessment of the crew inside of Orion, why don't we toss it back to Rob for an update?
Yeah, thank you, Megan. Here in Mission Control, Flight Director Rick Henfling and the entry team of flight controllers still on duty. The vehicle has been powered down for some time now. There are no hazardous gases emanating from integrity. That, of course, allowed the recovery personnel to approach the vehicle and then open the hatch to begin the initial medical assessment of the crew, as you just indicated. Now we're standing by for the erection of that inflatable raft, the front porch, alongside of the vehicle.
I don't know.
That will enable the crew to be
just put
extracted
4 guys
one by
into
one
it.
onto the raft.
I don't know
have
how
a
they're going
moment
to
or
fit in
two
there.
to get their
That's 8
land legs
people
back
inside there now.
before they're hoisted into 2 hovering Navy helicopters, 2 crew members for each helicopter, for a short flight back to the deck of the USS John P. Murtha. All of Integrity's systems operated flawlessly throughout the course of the approach to the Earth, the entry into the Earth's atmosphere, and all of the key milestones that followed in this high-speed return to Earth for Integrity, a mission that spanned more than 694,000 miles from the vehicle's launch from the Kennedy Space Center atop the Space Launch System back on April 1st.
Yeah, they should not have been able to say erection. I agree with you. Yeah, I'd like to see. I'd like to see them do this quicker, but it kind of is what it is. You know, this is once again government work. Government work's a little bit different than private sector work. That's just how it is. There's really no time frame. They run on like island time. You know, it's like whenever. You know, that type of thing. That's the way it is. But yeah, I would have thought that we would have seen that inflatable come out a long time ago around the capsule, as they call it, the porch. But it hasn't, which is really strange to me. So I don't know what's going on with that. You know, maybe they have a problem with the porch because we don't hear from the astronauts anymore. That means comms are down completely. Because normally we would hear them, but they were having all these uplink problems. So I'm going to say there's probably wiring damage or some type of an antenna issue, because they were going to use like S-band, and S-band that shit goes through. I mean, that's what everyone uses. So
as we mentioned at the top of the broadcast,
we should be able to hear them, but we can't.
Last time,
that means comms are completely out right now.
The Apollo program saw a splashdown in the Pacific was Apollo 17 back on December 19th, 1972.
Was that the last mission or something?
So for the first time,
I mean, to the moon at least,
in 53 and a half years, we have reenacted that with the arrival of Integrity's astronauts as they flew around the moon in that historic lunar flyby that began with a trans-lunar injection burn that took them out of Earth orbit following 24 hours of a high Earth orbit trajectory. The high Earth orbit trajectory enabled flight controllers here to have a full 24 hours to evaluate the systems on Integrity and the condition of the crew before they would commit to flying to the moon.
A lot of people don't know this, but those Apollo missions that landed on the moon, they brought a lot of moon debris, moon rocks, moon dust back. Apollo 17 brought back 243 pounds of lunar material 243 pounds. I'm going to be talking about this on my video on Monday, that I'm going to dispel some of this nonsense that we've been seeing just everywhere in social media, that this stuff is all fake. Like, these people are not really in the ocean, and, you know, this is all green screen, and everything that you saw was faked, and on and on and on. It just gets to be stupid after a while. But, you know, I still get people come on the channel and, you know, and tell me that satellites aren't real. Then I get other people that say satellites are real, but they are on weather balloons. They're not really in space. We don't actually leave. We don't go into space because there's a shell. I don't know. I've heard so much just ridiculous stuff over the years. It's kind of comical, but it is what it is. At least they're getting close at this point to extracting these wonderful folks, and that I think is, you know, the most important thing. I want to just see them actually come out. Everyone's safe. Everything is good, and then kind of move on. Obviously, they're going to be running this for a long period of time. But, you know, we'll see. I just want to make sure that everything goes well and they get the astronauts out safely. There's a lot of crew on these boats. Someone brought that up in comparison to when, like, a Crew Dragon, you know, one of SpaceX's, comes back with, like, you know, from the ISS, from picking up people, astronauts. So when they come back, there's literally like 4 guys. They're like, boom, 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 done. They just yank that thing on the back of a ship and get the people out literally within minutes. It's just kind of crazy. So, but at least now we see the hatch is open, side door is open, and there's 4 crew in there doing whatever they're doing. Now, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they could be doing, but they're doing something. And once again, I don't see that inflatable porch yet. I don't see the dog. I don't see the swing. I don't see none of it, which is really strange because that should have popped out a long time ago. Maybe, once again, we can't hear the crew because there's a comm problem. It's funny, and people brought this up, that we had comms at, you know, 250,000 miles away from Earth. We had communication, where here we're sitting in the ocean, we got no comms. That's just ludicrous to me, in my personal opinion, but who am I to say? Look at the thickness of that wall of that ship. Do you see that? What is it, like a foot thick? Amazing, right? Unbelievable. Shannon is back. Shannon is back with 20 free gifted memberships. So if you got a gifted membership from Shannon, please say thank you. You said it again, guys. Imagine if aliens came to Earth and they had to go through all this to get out of their alien spacecraft.
Collar, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what is this stabilization collar?
This is what's going to stabilize the capsule out there in the ocean. We don't know how good the weather or the waves will be that day, so this will help prevent any unnecessary occurrences from happening, stabilizing the capsule and the astronauts inside.
So basically this is a float that will go around Orion. I'm assuming that what they're doing right now, these are the lines that will attach the collar onto Orion?
That is correct.
And so what are they doing here?
So we've got the lower line that will secure the inflation device before we inflate it. That gives us the go-ahead that it's secure in space, and then we'll inflate it. And then once that is done, we'll undo all the carabiners and get this orange line on top tied in the same fashion. And then this will be secured to the capsule, and the astronauts can safely take their first steps out of the capsule.
What you're currently seeing is the collar.
It's not
actually the
Should definitely be
porch.
able to handle this in under 10 minutes.
Okay, wow. And then you just mentioned the front porch. So basically after they set up this stabilization collar, then they set up what's called the front porch here.
That's correct.
Okay, and what's the front porch?
Front porch is basically a bigger waiting room for the astronauts to sit in while we wait for the helicopters to show up and grab them.
Okay, so the medical team that was inside with the crew, they're going to help them out and onto the front porch?
That is correct.
And then what happens here?
We have
Welch and Son
hired
Farms,
trained
yeah,
medical, personnel
they'd all be
also
fired.
on board the front porch that will give them lookovers and just make sure they're okay while we wait for the helicopters to show up.
Okay. How does it feel, I mean, your team, you, to be part of a mission that's returning astronauts from the moon in more than 50 years?
We all feel extremely honored to be a part of this, as well as a bigger mission for the Navy and joining up.
Hey,
with
Mick,
NASA
let me know
to
about
do
Anthropic
great
and
things.
what you're talking about with AI.
ready?
I've been keeping on top of
Yes,
AI
yes, very
because
ready.
I want to do
Cool. All right, thank you
some
so much.
testing on DeepSeek 4. So hang tight for that. As soon as the weights come, I'm going to do
Once again,
a full
the
video
recovery
on it.
operations are continuing out in the Pacific. We shortly should see that life raft, the front porch, erected alongside the side hatch of the vehicle.
They didn't even put the collar on. They can't put the porch on until they put the collar on. Come on.
A number of flight controllers have come into the flight control room to receive congratulations from Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling. But we're going to stick with our operations out in the Pacific as we await the extraction of the 4 crew members who are reported to be in excellent condition.
Nice.
Again, while we stand by for that front porch to be erected alongside of the side hatch of the vehicle, let's go back to the USS John P. Murtha and Megan Cruz. Megan?
Hey, Rob.
Come on,
Pausing
Megan.
now to listen
Spill the
to
beans.
some. Pausing to listen to some internal audio loops again. The operations team here on the ship.
I think you're right,
communicating
Shannon.
with everyone out on the water.
I think Elon
Seems
should,
like currents
come in
are
here
hindering them a
and
little bit
give them all a
from
round of applause.
unfurling and inflating the stabilization collar as well as the front porch. But
You got
again,
it, guys.
the
You did it.
requirement
Yes.
to get the crew out within 2 hours of splashdown, plenty of time. So no concerns just yet. But as calm as the water looks, yeah, it looks like it's hindering the teams just a tad.
Nah,
You
we
can
won't
see
put
in some
bows
of our
on.
shots that side hatch still open. Again, inside there are now 8 people inside. 4 divers, Navy divers, all with medical training, each assigned to an astronaut each.
Yeah, Mark says Jared.
Making
He's
sure
talking about Jared
that
Isaacman.
they're comfortable.
Must be pulling his hair
Feeling
out
good.
probably because he is very he wants things done right. Okay.
As you've heard us say in the
and
broadcast,
I love
they
Jared
expect
Isaacman. I think
a little bit
he's
of
perfect for the
discomfort. Again,
position.
these astronauts just traveled
and
back to Earth
he's
at
done
25,000
something
miles an
really
hour,
great.
a nearly
which
695,000 mile journey around the moon.
Other administrators couldn't, so
think you get,
I'm really
Parsec?
happy with what he's been doing over there with NASA. So, yeah, he's probably pulling his hair out. Optics are definitely not
Again,
great.
6 boats out
Leaving
there.
them in here for
Lots
so
of gear
long,
with them,
not pulling them out.
just in case, right?
You know, not seeing the
As we
collar
said,
put
the
on, not seeing the
crew
porch on.
reported feeling great.
You know, there's
But again, all
butts
those
being
folks
eaten
out there
right now
in case
behind the
they weren't,
scenes.
right?
Guaranteed.
NASA is all
Guaranteed.
about making sure we think about every situation that can happen. And so, of course, wanted to be ready in case any of our astronauts needed more medical attention while out there in the water. You see now teams again
Russ says maybe they're doing this for nostalgia,
trying to set up
like back in the 70s.
stabilization
Yeah.
collar and front porch for the crew to get out of Orion. They need both, right? The stabilization collar will keep Orion from swaying as you see it is doing now. And then they will connect the front porch to the stabilization collar so that the crew can take 2 steps and they will be in the front porch.
Yes, Mick.
Not a
Jeff
lot of
Bezos
chatter on
over
the
there.
mission
He's in
audio
shape.
loops. That's a good thing.
He's putting in the work.
Again, things proceeding
He
pretty
looks
nominally.
fantastic. Not a young guy,
Even
but he's
if they're
keeping it
fighting
together.
some currents out there on the Pacific Ocean. Again, the goal, setting up the stabilization collar and the front porch so that the crew can rest comfortably in the front porch, get placed into harnesses so that 2 helicopters can lift them off the front porch and onto the USS John Murtha here.
The USS Minnow Johnson.
The helicopters are going to take turns picking up an astronaut. So again, Helo 1 and Helo 2.
Mark says SpaceX has definitely eclipsed NASA.
Okay.
No pun intended.
And the recovery
Yes.
team here on the ship
They have.
just got a report from the undersea medical officer who is inside the capsule with the crew. He is reporting all 4 members are green. All of our 4 astronauts, Reed, Victor, Christina, Jeremy,
Everyone's
green,
good.
meaning they are feeling great, not the complexion of their skin. They are
Perfect.
feeling great, happy to be home, and ready to be extracted as soon as possible. And so, as I was saying, we have 2 helicopters circling.
Yeah, it's been about
activity
three
you're
and a
seeing
half
on the water
hours.
right now.
Well, here we
Each
go.
will take turns
So-
picking up an astronaut.
Yeah, so right now they're
Helo 1
attaching
will come on in,
that collar.
hover above the front porch about 40
Once that collar is locked in, they're going to
feet above
immediately
the front
inflate it,
porch.
and then it won't be rocking as much,
A Navy
which will be nice, I'm
recovery
sure, for
specialist
them.
will be hoisted down into the front porch.
The restricted maneuvering doctrine is in effect.
Will connect to the first astronaut, which we're expecting to be Christina. And then Helo 2 comes around, picks up Jeremy, while Helo 1 stays above head. And then Helo 1 will come back in for another astronaut, and then Helo 2 for the last astronaut, and then back to the flight deck here on the recovery ship. I was talking to Assistant Artemis Recovery Director Paul Sierpinski. He said helos are a much quicker, safer way to get on board. They did actually consider boats, but then if you think about it, longer time, the crew would have to move through more of the ship. This way the helos will give a more direct, quicker route to the medical bay for our 4 astronauts.
How if we just do like Crew Dragon and just lift the whole thing onto the back of the ship? Call it a day.
Beautiful shots from our aerial and imagery teams. Clouds have dissipated for a clear view from the bow of the recovery ship here.
Oh, Mark, I didn't know that. In Alaska, you were having problems with the SpaceX Starlink Mini due to mountainous terrain. So pointing it at the horizon is your only way to get good speeds, which
You
is
can still
really
see
strange.
divers
But
in the water there.
are you getting clean sky above you?
Encircling Orion. That is that stabilization collar we've been telling you about.
There we go. Inflate it already. Inflate it. Well, obviously they got
As
to
you
attach
saw
it
in that
well
interview
first.
just a few minutes ago, they have to first connect it to Orion, and then once it's secured onto Orion, they can inflate it, and then they'll
Yeah, it's
further
going to be
secure it
heavy.
with other
It's
harnesses and
probably,
lines.
I don't know how much heavier, Shannon. Thank you for the super chat, Shannon. I don't know how much heavier this is compared to a Crew Dragon. I mean, the size looks pretty close, but I mean, it's just how it's designed. You know, Crew Dragon is designed to have lift points, probably, that are
About
built
an hour
into the
and 10
capsule
minutes
to lift it
to
out. This
Splashdown in the
doesn't,
Pacific Ocean
probably.
here.
I'm sure there's other reasons.
Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy back home after a history-making mission to the moon and back. And if you missed what we said just a couple of minutes ago, the undersea medical officer inside with the crew in Orion, reporting all 4 crew members feeling great.
Well, that's blown up now. Less bobbing. I'm sure they're happy about that.
Progress being made there on the stabilization collar. It looks like they are beginning to inflate
Oh no,
it.
it's not blown up. They're still strapping it on. All right.
And it looks like they're starting to unfold the front porch in order to get that into the water here shortly and inflate that as well.
So I looked up the size of the Crew Dragon to the Orion, and the Crew Dragon is 21,000 pounds and the Orion is 23,000 pounds, so 2,000 pounds difference. That's not going to be the
Again, more than
issue.
40 people out
One
in
is
the water
13
right
feet and the Orion is 16 and a half feet, so maybe 3 feet difference, 3.5 feet difference. So
Navy and
I think
NASA
it's just going to
personnel
have to
have
do
been in
with
the
that,
water
you know, the way
now
it's constructed. That I think
about
is going
4
to
hours.
be the thing. Weight and size about the same.
The reason why they had to get out so early is just to stage everything. And actually here on the ship, when there are flight operations happening, you can't have anything else, right? Just because the flight deck can be a dangerous place, so they just want to focus on planes coming and going from the ship, so that's why they wanted to get the boats in the water to make sure that they have all the time they needed for the flight ops.
Mark, you might be right. Optimus robots might be the first to touch the moon.
And then the same
The
crew
next
here out in the water,
humans
they
might
will
not
stay
be
out in the
humans
water
on the moon.
for
I don't
a
know.
number
We'll
of
see.
hours after we recover the crew and get them back on the ship, because then they have to recover Orion. All right, that stabilization collar looking good around Orion. We're now seeing some recovery personnel getting on to that collar.
How many times did we land on the moon? Like 6
Again,
times,
they
7
need to
times. So
further attach it
we've
to
done it many
Orion
times already. So they
to
should be
make
able to
sure
land
that
on
it
the
can
moon if they
really
want
prop
to.
up
They shouldn't need
the
Optimus to
spacecraft.
walk
It's
around the
basically
moon.
lifting it up off of the water just a tad.
Oh, now they're blown up. There we go.
Again, so it's not so
There you go. Now the guys can walk around it.
so it doesn't sway so much in the water there. And now
The
that front
Orway.
porch
I'm sorry.
looks
sorry,
like
my
it's
friend.
nearly fully inflated as well.
They didn't
You
indicate
can see a
that
much
they didn't send you
larger
the
surface
notification.
area.
That happens a lot. YouTube is just it's piss poor. I don't know what else to say. You know, $1 billion company, because YouTube is run by Google, right? Google's run by Alphabet. This is
So once the
hundreds of
crew
billions of dollars
get
in
out
this
of
company,
Orion,
$1 trillion company, and
they can stretch their legs a little bit on this front porch, get some
Yeah.
fresh air. And enjoy this beautiful day here on their home
the Chinook
planet.
would pick that up. It would definitely pick it up easily. Like I said, 23,000 pounds. That's not an issue. The issue is the A-frame. I think is just the way the craft is constructed, and remember, the Crew Dragon from SpaceX was made to be yanked out of the ocean with this winch that's specifically designed for it. The specific weights, loads, angles, all the rest of the stuff. So they didn't do that. So that's why they're not able to do this. So, and this is not going to change. This is old technology that is dead. There's a lot of people out there that say there shouldn't be an Artemis 3, there shouldn't be an Artemis 4, and we should just use Starship to get to the moon and get to Mars, and let Elon spend his money instead of us spending our taxpayer money. What say you in the comments? Let me know. I mean, I'm on both sides of the fence on that one, I don't mind, the government spending our money on something like this in comparison to giving it to other countries. That's my personal opinion. But I do like that the private sector is involved too, because it increases innovation.
All the views that you're seeing as well.
When you have people bidding for things, and you have there's like competition, it leads into innovation instead of iteration. So I'm not an iterative kind of guy. You need to iterate, but innovation is very important. And if you don't have a strong reason to innovate, you're not going to. Just like, Kennedy did back in the 60s. He said, listen, we're going to get to the moon. Why? Not because it's easy, because it's freaking hard as hell, but we're going to get there because we're going to prove that we're fantastic. We're great. We're the best country. Whatever. And he got the entire country on board. And that's what ended up happening. And that just subsided over the years, which is sad. And we never did it again. We went there, 6-7 times, landed on the moon, picked up a whole bunch of rocks, and came home.
Happening just 3,000 yards away from the ship. So that means this will be a very quick flight back on the helicopters for the crew. 2-3 minutes.
So there's enough helicopters to pick up each astronaut, I guess, and one comes in, lifts one comes in, lifts other, and so on and so forth. Well, so we got the porch up.
Thumbs up.
I don't see the dog yet. I don't see like a rocking chair.
From one of the personnel on the front porch, it looks like they are now getting ready to deploy what they call the Air Rescue Vest, ARV. And so this is the harness that each crew member will get into in order to be hoisted into the helicopters. Again, those helicopters hovering just about 40 feet above the front porch when they're ready to pick up each crew member.
YouTube is a love-hate relationship. TJ, Paddock for you, absolutely, 100%. Russ says, SpaceX building their ship to be reusable, absolutely. Thus they have structural integrity. Structural integrity, yep, absolutely. I doubt that the ship would be lifted all of the, yeah, well, I mean, that's the whole thing. Like I said before, the framing of this capsule is not made to be yanked out of the ocean, but I'm sure it's not, difficult to do, but they're not doing anything to this. It's tried and true. It works. There's no lives being lost. They're not going to touch it. Any kind of issues that they had during the flight, they'll hammer those out. Most of those issues were with electronics. There was some gauge problems here and there.
This is Mission Control Houston. Behind me, a fairly raucous scene as hundreds of flight controllers have poured into the flight control room here. This is reminiscent of the scene after the final shuttle mission of STS-135, although that was the end of a program. This is only the beginning of a program with the textbook splashdown of integrity and its 4 astronauts. We're standing by for the crew to be extracted from the spacecraft. Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling invited all of these flight controllers who have contributed to this mission to enter the flight control room to have an opportunity to receive well wishes and to share the mutual glow that exists in the wake of a textbook mission for integrity. On the front screen here in Mission Control, a sign that says "Welcome Home Integrity," taking humanity back to the moon, going further, and returning safely to Earth. So all of that jubilation, part of the post-splashdown activities, even as we await the crew being extracted from the vehicle to be hoisted onto Navy helicopters for the trip back to the USS John P. Murtha.
Mick, that's a good question. Once it goes from private to public, once SpaceX ends up IPOing in June, will things go to crap? And Elon's already put in provisions for that. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but one of the things which is really important that I really liked is he changed the way the market is going to IPO this thing. All IPOs, the majority of them are anywhere from about 5 or 10% of the stock actually goes to us, the retailers, like in the retail market, right? Whereas the big massive banks and all the rest of the insider money, let's say, has like 90 to 95% of the market of the stock. He's changed that. So the retail market will get 30% now. 30%. That has never been done before. And the reason he wants that is because now 30% goes to the retail public that actually give a crap about SpaceX, whereas these, institutional investors, they don't care. They'll be buying and selling, they'll short it, they'll do all kinds of crazy, they don't care. So this is really, really important. But there's other things too that he's doing to safeguard that from happening. So
crew. And ultimately, they're hoisting onto Navy helicopters for a short flight back to the USS John P. Murtha. Splashdown occurred at 7:07 and 27 seconds p.m. Central Time. I had an opportunity to talk to the head of flight dynamics, Jeff Birch, a moment or two ago. He said the trajectory of integrity coming through the Earth's atmosphere was so precise they've never seen anything line up on a ground track like today's entry by Integrity for its splashdown southwest of San Diego.
That's interesting, Mark, how you had such problems with that Mini. Maybe you move from a Mini and go with a Gen 3 and see how that works for you. Let them know that the Mini's not working out for you. In Alaska, go with the Generation 3. And see if you pick up a little bit better signal.
You can hear it.
Oh, we got somebody out. That would be, let me see. Is someone out? Yeah.
Jubilation here in the flight control room. The first crew member is out of Integrity.
That's got to be Christina. Then it's probably out because I think they pull her out first, if I remember correctly.
We are expecting the other crew members momentarily to be extracted. We now have 2 crew members out.
Wow. All right, guys, go sit on the porch. Here's some lemonade. Dog's missing.
Two crew members out, 2 to go. We're about 1 hour from sunset out in the Pacific. Everything continues to go well. Integrity's systems function perfectly during its entry back to Earth. And Reed Wiseman, the commander who will be last out of the vehicle, reported that all the crew members were feeling very well.
I know, Shannon. It is insane. Almost 90 minutes, and they're finally Weissman. Obviously, he's the commander. He'll be off last. They probably pulled Christina off first. I think that's normally what they would do.
Crew member number 3 now out.
Yeah. Now Reed Wiseman will come out. At least he's the commander. He'll come out last. And they'll probably leave the same way. She'll probably get taken by the helicopter first. Extracted first, or however you want to call it.
And now standing by for the commander, Reed Wiseman, who will be last out of his ship. Bobbing in the Pacific under almost ideal conditions, Integrity spanned 694,000 miles during its journey from launch to splashdown.
All right. There's the commander being birthed out of the capsule. There he comes. Come on now. Let's do it.
And we now have Reed Wiseman out of the vehicle. All 4 crew members now out of
Nice.
Integrity.
Now the aircrafts should come and pick them up. The helicopters can come in. Sweet. Wow. That's amazing. Can you imagine 10 days around the moon, almost 700,000 miles covered. It's just 700,000 miles. You're looking at just 250,000 miles just to get there. It's just crazy to me, you know, in such a short period of time.
Once again, all 4 crew members now on the front porch. And the procedure to begin hoisting them up to these 2 Navy helicopters hovering overhead will begin shortly.
Yeah, once they get this capsule back to shore, it ends up back to California, right? At that point, I think it goes into like the belly of like some Navy ship, right? Brings it back, and once it gets there, then they throw it on like this extremely highly secure truck, semi, and it gets trucked back to Florida, where it started. Cape Canaveral, which is kind of crazy, right? Well, guys, we're going to let this keep on going. If you have any questions, throw them in there right now.
This is Mission Control Houston. The mission is over, but the melody lingers on.
Oh, I'm sure.
As jubilation continues here in the flight control room. We should be expecting NASA's Associate Administrator, Amit Kshatriya, to be joining us shortly for a short interview while the recovery operations continue out in the Pacific. So we'll stand by for that. And then we'll turn it back over to Megan Cruz aboard the USS John P. Murtha.
Yeah, so after all of this time has gone by, finally getting to the end of it, all 4 crew members are out on the front porch there, which is kind of cool. So they're ready to be extracted back to the ship, and they'll go into like a quote-unquote triage type of thing, make sure everything, well, I guess the triage would have already happened on the capsule because they had the doctor go on to check them all out. But still, they go into like a medical facility on the ship where they make sure they're all good, get their, you know, those sea legs, I'm sure, are a little bit weak after that, you know, jaunt to the moon and back. But just think about those astronauts that stay at the ISS in microgravity for, you know, months and months and months and months. When they land, their legs are, you know, pretty not good. It takes a little while to get back, put everything back together. So we'll let this keep on rolling, and once there's that interview that's coming up, I'll probably play it. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, give them to me now. Forever hold your peace. There's a lot of stuff that's coming around next week on the channel that I'm working on. So stay tuned for that. There's a bunch of different things, different topics. So this week there was a lot that went on, but you know, the things that I like to talk about, YouTube doesn't like. So yesterday we talked about some Starlink stuff where prices kind of changed a little bit. You can get Starlink down to like $35 now for the light version, which is sick. That's for a residential plan, $35, and which is never seen before. But then also you can get the gear now for free. That's even crazy. Free. So that's a big deal. They're back.
The first test flight of Orion with crew members on board. Splashdown occurring an hour and 32 minutes ago after a flawless descent back into the Earth's atmosphere for the vehicle. It's 4 crew members in good shape, simply enjoying their time right now on the front porch, as it were, the inflatable raft alongside of their Integrity spacecraft. We're expecting Ahmed Shatria, the NASA Associate Administrator, to join us here momentarily for a brief interview before we turn it back over to Megan Cruz aboard the USS John P. Murtha, the recovery ship.
To the Orway, the plasma basically is pouring off it at 5,000 plus degrees Fahrenheit, but that's for about a 6-minute window. Once that 6 minutes up, the plasma is gone. That's just from that high heat of reentry. So, and that's why there's no comms. They had no communication for like 6 minutes flat, and because the entire capsule is encompassed with this plasma. So, but once it lands, it's cool, basically, in big air quotes. It's cool by that point. And so you don't have to worry about that. Mick says, Geeky Garden says, if they could only figure out how to reuse that capsule, wouldn't that be nice? They can't reuse it. It's pretty much shot. I don't think they reuse anything on the entire SLS. Nothing. It's $24 billion straight into the drink, or $24 billion, some parts still floating in space in very high orbit that will be there for centuries. I don't think anything ever, with any of their stuff, nothing's reused. Even the space shuttle, if you think about it, just for them to reattach the space shuttle heat shielding literally took like 8 months for like guys to sit there and stick them all back on, right? It's ludicrousy. And when we were there at the Kennedy Space Center, Fabiola and myself and Shannon and his wife, we were there. We got to actually see the space shuttle, and you can see these tiles. Like, it's absolutely crazy. They're all different shapes, all different sizes. It's just insanity the way they did it. Well, they're gonna come on right now with this interview, so let's listen to that real quick.
What they just accomplished.
Yeah, Rob, we're here in the control center, and it's kind of overrun with jubilant folks in the mission control, Houston, as well as engineering, and folks that just want to be here, part of it, as we watch our crew get extracted from the vehicle. And my thought is always about these teams. The team that's in the water right now, pulling the crew out. The team here in Houston that worked so hard over the last 10 days, no sleep to get this done. We still have some work to do to get the crew to the med bay here on the ship. They all look great coming out, so hopefully that won't be too long. I think we saw the administrator on the boat too, giving his thanks to the Navy team on the Mirtha, which they're just an incredible group of sailors. I was able to visit with them a couple weeks ago. And then if you pull it all the way back to the workers and the folks that joined the rocket at Michoud, that made the heat shield tiles that held together tonight, that stacked the vehicle in Florida, that integrated the vehicle in Denver, that fired the engines in Stennis, that fired the boosters in Promontory. I mean, this is the entire team, coming together and being tested by the environment that this machine went through, and they did it right. The work was good. They did it right.
You've said in a number of briefings, of course, and in other forums that this is just the first step. The cadence has to step up, as the administrator has indicated. Now, it's a little early for the full report card on how Integrity did, but did this mission ultimately, from your eyes view, exceed expectations?
It absolutely did. I mean, I was waiting to talk about this until we're in the water, and I think we still have, again, work to do to bring it in and really kind of go through it bolt by bolt and see what we learned. But I mean, so far, given what we learned during the mission and given how we performed on ascent, on entry, I always think about energy in terms of the states that you worry about the most, and every time we put these machines through these incredibly energetic states that came through. So I'm fairly confident that we made a big step tonight to get us on the path towards the surface. I think the path to the surface is open now. We do have to do all the work, and we'll make sure we talk about that as cleanly as we can. We learned a few things during the mission, but I have to tell you, this was an incredible test of an incredible machine.
From an American psyche standpoint, the Empire State Building was lit up red, white, and blue tonight. Our coverage was seen on baseball stadiums around the major leagues. How captivating was this experience for the American people, for the world, in fact, as we return to the moon?
I have not been able to watch a lot of the coverage as we've progressed through the mission. I will tell you, just from my witness in Florida before launch, and then seeing the people's faces here, and then reading where I can about how things are going. I think this has been a gift to the world from NASA. NASA has given the world a gift, proving to folks all over the place, especially young people, and that to me is what this is really about. Young people, when they see what we can do when we work together, when we have teams that collaborate, that it doesn't matter how hard the problems are, we can solve them. I'm hopeful that Artemis 2, as folks witness what we were able to do with this incredible crew, this incredible team that we've birthed into the world, scientists and engineers and artists that have been inspired by this. And even if they don't come work in the program, which separately they should come work in the program, because Lord knows we need the help, but even if they don't want to come work in the program, hopefully they grow up to recognize they can do amazing things when they work together and contribute to society and be good citizens and really change the way, the challenges that are coming in the world are overcomable if we work together like this.
And one final question. Flying to the moon, we did it. We've done it again this past week and a half or so. But the engineering that went behind the design of this mission and the precision, the pinpoint precision of this vehicle entering that entry corridor, it's almost mind-boggling.
Yeah, it is incredible when you think about the energies involved and the uncertainties involved. That when we inserted the vehicle into orbit, it was
Base 44 super agents. The next thing you can't live without. No setup.
Right on top of the fleet here. Our guys knew exactly where to go, but the guidance was perfect. And it's interesting. I've got this question a lot over the last few weeks about, we did this before 53 years ago, and that. I think, it is a reasonable thing to contemplate, like what's gone on since then. And what I'd tell you is, when we did Apollo, which again, the more we learn about what they did, the more magical it seems what they were able to accomplish given the technology and the learnings that they had. But when we did Apollo, the architects of Apollo, Gilbert, Seaman, von Braun, Mueller, what they really, really wanted to do as they were contemplating what it meant to expand our range of action to the lunar surface, what they wanted to do was learn how to live and work in space for a long time. They wanted to do that first before they were confident they could expand their range of action to the moon. Now, of course, the politics of the time and the mission at the time was different, and so they had to go straight to the moon and bring people home. And then after that, the program kind of lost its momentum. But after that, NASA kept moving along those paths, right? So we recognized during Apollo that reusability was going to be important. We spent a lot of money on those machines, and we spent a lot of money on these machines here. But we recognized that reusability was important, which is why we built a winged space plane called Space Shuttle, and then we used that reusable machine to build a space station. And we learned for 25 years how to live and work in space, and have been able to develop technologies that can enable exploration. So really, what I think is now, 53 years later, we're at the point where the architects of Apollo would have been pleased that we're now ready to actually go back to the moon and go back to stay, because we've learned all the things we needed to learn.
There's a lot of people pleased here tonight, and we really thank you for joining us. Amit Kshatriya, NASA's Associate Administrator, as we begin to hoist the crew onto the helicopters to head back to the recovery ship. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
congratulations, Amit.
And there you have it. Sweet, guys. So, well, the way I look at this is now we have moved a little bit forward, right? We actually went to the moon, came back. So now we can actually kind of hopefully increase the pace here. If it's for Jared Isaacman, it's going to happen because he's focused. He's laser focused. So I have a good feeling that things are going to start progressing, and it's going to progress fast. So as we can see now, crew members are being hoisted. They're going to be pulled back to the ship with the different helicopters, and then they're going to move basically back to land. They're going to bring them back. So, and they're not that far away. It's a very short time. That's amazing. Look at that. Look at the power of that thing. Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
The crew members already outfitted with a harness that will allow them to quickly attach to the hoisting device. Look at the power of those blades throwing water out at the center there, the front porch, with now 3 astronauts and the recovery specialists. Again, crews already outfitted with a harness vest. And here we go.
There you go.
Second astronaut now off the front porch, getting hoisted into the second helicopter. That helicopter will now hover just a distance away to give room for the first helicopter to come back and pick up the third astronaut.
It didn't look like they actually put them into the helicopter. They just left them hanging on the side.
As we wait for that helicopter to come back, make its way back around, just want to mention that the President of the United States called our NASA administrator today while he was on the ship, just minutes after we interviewed him live on our coverage, and congratulated him and NASA on this history-making moment tonight. Helicopter 1 again hovering 40 feet over the front porch. We will soon see another recovery specialist getting lowered onto the front porch. Wow, imagine sitting on that front porch, the wind, the water. But again, the recovery team determined that a helicopter flight back to the ship here would be safer, faster, and more comfortable for our crew, who just completed a 10-day mission around the moon.
Yeah, I don't think they actually go inside. I
Third
think they just
astronaut
kind of hang there.
in the air, getting hoisted quickly back into the first helicopter now.
The Orway says that it was 10 cents to use a public restroom in the airports. Yeah, in Europe, it still costs you money to use a public restroom. Many parts of Europe. We
First
traveled
helicopter
from
now on its way back to the ship here. We will
Greece
soon see it land in just a few minutes.
Sicily,
Again, all this
Italy.
action happening just 3,000 yards away from us, so a very quick flight back to the flight deck.
So anyways, guys, I'm going to get out. This was amazing.
Now
Like
the
I
only
said,
person left on
there's
the
going to be a
front
lot
porch,
of
Commander
coverage
Reed
that I'm going to be doing on the new release of some AI that I think is going to be revolutionary. I'm probably going to do some videos on AI, agentic type of stuff, using AI as an agent in comparison to just like a chat bot. I'm going to do some of that. And then also there's a lot of stuff that's happening with SpaceX Starlink that is in the works, but until I hear about it, I don't want to tell you guys about it. So just hang tight for that. We are going to see, most likely before the end of the year, we're going to see gigabit speeds. That's gigabit. Also, we're going to see bidirectional speeds, meaning that we have an up and down speed that are equal to each other. It's the equivalent, you can call it symmetrical in comparison to asymmetrical connection, means that we'll be able to have a SpaceX Starlink connection of 100 by 100, 300 by 300, 500 by 500, and finally a gigabit by a gigabit. So that's what they're working on right now. We're going to see that when we start seeing the version 3 satellites on orbit. So that's kind of cool to see coming up in the not so distant future. Also, we're going to see DTC really ramping up a lot. This is exciting to me because that means that you could use an unmodified phone to basically not just make phone calls when you have no service, but also do video calls and everything else. So that is a big deal, a really big deal. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate everyone being here. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you for all the super chats. Shannon, thank you for the free memberships. If you got a free membership, once again, say thank you to Shannon. I appreciate everything that you guys do, and just being here, giving the the videos that I do thumbs ups, or just subscribing, or just hanging out. I appreciate you. So anyways, many blessings to you and your family. We will see you on Monday for some new videos. Take care, guys.